Thank you, everybody, for joining us here at this ESP convention. I'm William Rader from Artisan, and we just released a new ESP deck, actually two ESP decks from 1937. So these are the first original decks that were published by J.B. Rhine. And I think a lot of you might have already purchased these decks. If not, you can get them at Artisan. And this is a 25 card set of cards that are marked. Now, this is actually the original deck, like I said, from 1937. And a lot of you might actually be more familiar with the House of Cards reprint by Haynes House of Cards. And what that back design looked like, it had a bunch of stars on the back of it, because we've gotten a lot of messages saying, oh, I've got the originals, and I said, oh, show me the back design, and it was a bunch of stars. So that deck is actually a reprint of the original ESP decks. And the original ESP decks looked a little bit like this. And we've redesigned these just a little bit to make them a little bit more modern. And what I'm going to do is actually Tommy has some pictures of the original decks and what they look like. So I'm going to spotlight him right now just so that he can bring up his book and show us exactly what some of these used to look like. So we're just going to add Tommy right here as a spotlight. So you can see here in this book, can you show everybody the cover of that book so people know where this is coming from? And I'm also going to ask to unmute you. So this is New Frontiers of the Mind. And actually on the original ESP testing cards from 1937, they actually talk about this book in the ad card. They say, oh, get the new book. And this is the book that they're referring to, which is really interesting. And so here we have, if you can hold that a little bit closer, this is one of the original ESP sets. And now you might notice that there's one card that's a little bit different than the rest. And that's the square is not a square. It's actually a rectangle. And so this right here was what the original cards look like. And you can actually see, if you zoom in a little bit more, Tommy, you can see that the back design is actually different than the back design that we have, because these were the original ESP cards. So Tommy, could you show us the actual, the 1937 cards now that our reprint is based off of? Because I want to talk a little bit about the refinements and additions that we made. So here we have what the original cards look like. And if you can just zoom in on the book there, Tommy, and I want you to look at that ESP sign that's in the middle. If you can see that, it says ESP, then there's the tower from Duke University in the middle. And that was actually on the original ESP cards. It had this tower right here. So what we decided to do is, Kristen thought it looked a lot cleaner to just remove that tower, get that out of there, and clean up the design. And so that's what we've done with these cards. Now, this is actually our prototype, but Tommy's here. I'm actually in Mexico right now. I don't actually have the decks on hand. I only have the prototypes, but Tommy's going to just hold up just a set for us. And so this is what they look like. And what we tried to do with this set is we tried to make all of the shapes and symbols uniform with one another. And so the circle looks like it has the same dimensions as the plus sign, and the wavy lines look similar to the star. And so when you spread these across, it looks like every single card belongs together in the set. Because if you remember, in the book that Tommy held up just a moment ago, all the shapes are all over the place, right? And so we really wanted to have this uniformity with the symbols and shapes. Also on the original ESP decks, the backs were blue, and the fronts of the card, the shapes were all black. What we wanted to do, we wanted this to match the backs to the fronts. So we made the symbols of the plain deck all blue. And so this way, once again, it's just creating that uniformity with the cards. And so this is basically the plain deck. Tommy, if you've got the color deck, so you can hold that up.
Yes, I do.
So this is the color deck. So this is pack number 2. You could buy them in 2 packs. This is pack number 2. And if you could open those up for me, Tommy, so we can see those. So this has every shape is a different color. And as mentalists, as mystery performers, magicians, I'm sure you can think of different ways to use these. Maybe you're unable to get the shape, but you can get the color. Maybe you do readings and you can add your color readings in with your readings for the ESP symbols. There's lots of possibilities with these cards. And in here we'll just go through them. Yellow for the circle. We've got red for the plus sign. We've got blue for the wavy lines. we've got black for the square, and then we've got green for the star. And so that's the set per se. And then if you turn those cards over again for me, Tommy, you can see that those are the original brown deck. So it's almost got this really vintagey feel that we really wanted to portray with these cards. Now, let's talk about the marks just for a moment. And Tommy, you might want to hold these up too, just so that everybody can see. But this marking system is based on the just this original design. So what we've done is, and I'll hold up my deck as well. What we've done is we've shortened one of the circles that go across. And so if you can see, which one are you holding up there, Tommy? Which card?
The square.
The square?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look here, here's all the circles. And you can see here how these lines, these little tails go up, 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 up. Does everybody see that? But on one of these tails is shorter than the rest. And I don't know if everybody can make that out there. But one of these tails is shorter than the rest. Can you point yours out there that you see on yours, Tommy? Just so everybody can see what that is. And then I'll point it on mine too. On mine, it's this tail right here. This is the shorter one. And so if you look, this one goes up, this one goes up, this one goes up, this one stops, and then all the rest go up. And this is the same on the back and forward. And if you look at Tommy's card, you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in. That's the mark. And if you turn it over, 4 is the square. And how this system works, it's very easy. We'll just explain the very basics. You've got a circle, which is 1. 2 is the plus sign. 3 is going to be the wavy lines. 4 is the square because there's 4 sides. And then 5 is the 5-sided star. And so that's how you remember the order of the marks. And then it's just a matter of looking at the back and then counting over how many spots there are until you see the one with the difference. So in this case, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would have the star, right? And so this is the very simple marking system that we've designed, that Kristen's developed in order to for magicians to read these cards. And it's very simple. It's very easy to read, but this isn't something that you're going to get from like across the room. If you've got a lot of spectators on stage with you, this isn't something that you're going to be able to read from 10 feet away. This is not the deck of cards for you. What this is good for is if you deal the cards onto the table, it's very easy to just run your eyes over this design and say, oh, okay, that's right there. And then it took me about 15 or 20 minutes for me to know where that pattern was in the back. And once I knew where that pattern was, it's just a matter of looking, okay, that's this. Looking, scanning, that's this. And so Daniel said that it's great for close-up. Yes, so this is really good for close-up. And once again, if you say like this and you go, here, pick a card, and they pick a card out, you're not going to be able to read it. It's too fast of movements. But if you lay the cards out on the table and you have a pendulum and you hold the pendulum over each card, you can get your reading very easy in that way. And so I just want to be clear with everyone what to expect when you do receive our cards. This isn't long distance. This is really intended for up close, and that these are the original ESP cards from 1937. And we also include on the back of the box, if you can hold that up too, Tommy, we include the actual description from the original cards. And it's actually pretty funny. So I'll just read you part of it here. It says, scientists at Duke and at many other universities have shown that many, if not all normal persons have ESP ability if they are tested under the right conditions. Those who show unusual ability in these tests can be of a help to science. And so that's right here on the back. And so what a great presentation that's right here on the back of the cards. You can talk about the cards, you can hand the cards out, they can read about the ESP test. And so, yeah, so that's our cards. Now, people are asking about the cost. So these are $25 a piece, or for the set, it's $40. And that's what they cost. They originally came in the colored and the plain. You could buy both versions, and so that's why we made both versions of this. So before we move forward, I just want to look into the chat really quickly just to see if there's any questions that I might miss before we go to our first presenter, which will be Joe Diamond. So let me just, I'll unspotlight you here, Tommy. Actually, did you have anything else from that book that might be, actually you did. Could you actually hold up that book and show some of the tests? Yeah, do you mind showing?
Yeah, no, not
I
at
think
all.
that was really fascinating.
Yeah, I was going to do it in my presentation,
Oh,
but I can do it now. Here is Dr. Alain and a gentleman named Hubert Pierce doing a, see if I can stand up here, doing what do they call it? They're doing a calling down through a pack of ESP cards. So Dr. Wright is flipping through cards and writing down the results. This was a shuffling box where they would put the cards in the box, cover it up, shake it, and then the cards would get put in the different slots, and then they would be shuffled that way.
so they would just shake it and it would.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually a pretty fascinating book. I hear a bit of an echo here.
You're good on our end.
Okay, good. Then there's something called the blind matching test. Where,
Hold it up just a little bit. Your name's in the way.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yep. And that will be similar to my presentation today. Then there is I thought this was really interesting. This is almost like remote viewing in a way. The guy on the bottom here was a psychic by the name of Zirkle, Zirkle, and the woman above him had a what is it called, a telegraph, and she would tap the telegraph, and he would be able to pick up how many times she would tap the telegraph, and he was in a completely different area of the laboratory. And one last one, which I thought, I'm not going to be doing this, but is this an idea for you mentalists and magicians out there? They used to have a record notebook, and I made one out of a stamp pad, and so tried to make it look like the one in
That
the
looks
book.
great.
Great. And this is for Richard Oslin's, I forget the name of it, but it's the one that has the 5 symbols at the end. So just an idea, you can make a stamp pad look like anything.
And actually, now that you mentioned that record sheet, I just posted in the chat room a link where people can go download the ebook that actually includes the 2 extra cards that don't come
cool.
with our deck, because there's only 25 cards in that.
Right.
And also we included the record sheet. So if you're interested to
nice.
see what that record sheet originally looks like, Kristen completely recreated that. And you can click on that and then view the information. And you know, that information's outdated now, but it is the original information that was included on those cards and the record sheet that you could purchase separately. And so you can view all of that information there. So thank you so much, Tommy, for sharing those photos with us. That was really wonderful.
My pleasure.
So we are going to check the chat room really quickly. And just making sure here, someone just posted that there's a parapsychology exhibit right now online that you can visit. So you can check that out too. We've got Stephen who said great placement for the markings. And so once again, if you do spread these out, which would be in this direction, like this, you are able to see the marks from a spread like this. Now, because of the flat light, it's a little bit more difficult to see, but you are able to see those from a spread. And so that's a great part, a point, Stephen. So if we're all ready, let's bring up our first presenter, and that will be our friend Joe Diamond. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you here, Joe. I'm going to ask you to unmute. So you should see that.
Yes.
And you might know Joe from recent Scam School episodes, as well as he runs a weekly show there in his hometown. Are you still doing it for 13 people?
Yes, and still saw my tickets through, well attended.
Oh, great.
Loving it. Got a show tonight. Had a sold out show last night. And I have you to thank for that. That's awesome. And thanks for asking me to be a part of this. And thank you for Tommy for just that Sven pad idea has already set the bar high. As technically the first presenter, I'm already like, dang it, I have to be at a certain level. If it's okay, I don't know if to ask you or Jonathan for this, William. I do need to screen share because I have a video performance of this effect.
How does that do for you? I think that will work.
That's co-host and yes. All right, sweet. So I'll share this in a moment. Before we do that, first off, for those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Joe Diamond. I'm a magician, mentalist, mystery performer in the Chicago, Milwaukee area. I do a weekly show for 13 people at a time in a haunted mansion. As I mentioned, selling tickets through William's well-attended site. I've been a big fan of ESP cards for years, which is why I'm thrilled that the ESP has kind of gotten a renaissance lately in Magic. It seems, everyone's got their own idea or method or something, and, nothing against any other decks, of course, but I gotta say, having an actual vintage set for me just sets this deck apart from all other cards on the market. The fact that, they look nice, but also these could be 20, 30 years old. Some fun facts, too, about the ESP cards, and Tommy and William have already touched on this, which is, these are scientific objects. Don't just look at magic books for them. Look at the actual history books. There's a great book called Wonder Show, and I also just read a book called Through a Glass Darkly about the life of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and his relationship to spiritualism. And J.B. Ryan is mentioned in both of those books, and there's fascinating stories about J.B. Ryan. Two that I'll share very briefly. Well, actually three, because I think these are all great for cool presentational moments, which will be great before we dive into the video performance I've got. First off, one of the early batches of ESP cards were made so cheaply that a fellow scientist on stage at a conference was able to hold up ESP cards, and someone across the stage was able to nail 24 out of the 25 symbols, and that was because that batch of cards had been made so cheaply that they were see-through. So they tried to do this as a way to, kind of discredit Ryan, but that just made him work harder and get a better batch of ESP cards made. Also, J.B. Ryan endorsed a psychic horse. A psychic horse. He had real psychic powers, according to J.B. Ryan. It was busted that the horse was taking cues from his trainer. So it was actually a code act with a horse. And of course, J.B. Ryan, was, brokenhearted, but said, well, obviously the horse had been psychic, but had lost the psychic powers, so now they had to develop this code. Of course, a horse. And finally, and this is my favorite story, and this is what I use in my stage presentations, which again, and to be clear, yes, as you said, these aren't meant to be read from across the room, but original ESP cards weren't made to be done on big stages. They were meant for intimate testing situations. So yes, if you're gonna do big stage work, yeah, you probably do want to go with a bigger deck with marks you can read from a distance and all that stuff. You got to choose what's right for the right situation. However, if you're gonna do an actual recreation of an ESP test close up again, there's no comparison as far as I'm concerned. These are the way to go. But what I say in my on stage presentation with ESP cards, and this is true, J.B. Ryan was inspired to make these after he saw a talk on spiritualism by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, give a lecture on spiritualism. So even if you are in the more, because I've heard some people say they don't want to use ESP cards because they go the more psychological Sherlock Holmes, I use my 5 normal senses to create the illusion of a sixth sense kind of presentation. So even if you go that route, you don't go the psychic route, you go the psychological route, that line, that moment of historical fact now puts these in your Sherlock Holmes psychological wheelhouse. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so this is actually going to be a clip of me performing an ESP effect on Scam Nation, previously Scam School. We're just going to watch the performance, and then I'm going to teach it because there's some work I've held back on this routine that I'm sharing here for the very first time. You won't see it in the clip for obvious reasons, but I'll share it with you as we go along. So let me share the video, and here we go.
I want all of you guys to meet my friend Joe Diamond, who has genuine wizard powers. He's an actual wizard.
And I learned my supernatural gifts from a very, very occult source. The Ghostbusters movie with Bill Murray. At the beginning of the movie, Bill Murray has these cards with different symbols on them: the plus sign, circle, bacon, square, or wavy lines. But these are used for testing ESP. But I also have one other item that tests ESP: a pendulum. Have you ever used a pendulum before?
No.
First time for everything. Hold out your dominant hand and hold on to the top of the pendulum, and just hold it over the plus sign. You'll notice it starts to swing back and forth in a straight line over that pendulum.
There it is.
And there it goes. But here's the weird thing: if I take it away and we have the circle, you'll notice it adjusts and starts going in a circle.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Now here's the
That's
cool
very
thing: you can use this to ask questions.
Okay.
A circle means no, a straight line means yes.
Okay.
So here, mix these up and then place them on the table.
Like
Okay.
out? Or
Yeah. Spread out. Okay. And put your finger down on any one of them. It's your choice. Okay. Do you want to change your mind?
No.
Okay, look at it. Don't show any of us, though. Don't show Brian. Don't show anybody else. Look at. Remember the symbol. Mix them all up now. Mix them all up.
Okay.
Yeah, mix them up so you lose track of which one is which. So you know which symbol you have in mind, but you now don't know
Where it is.
where it is amongst all of these, right? And we'll put these out in a random order here, okay? Here's the idea. Place your hand on mine. Just think of the symbol. Okay, that's a circle, so that means a no. That means that's not your symbol. And keep going. That's also a circle. Watch its movement. It should. Oh, you see it change there?
Yeah.
When a straight line, if I go over it, becomes a circle. What symbol? Yeah, that's a straight line. What symbol do you have in mind?
Square.
A square. Turn it over. Let's see how we did.
Oh,
Here's the thing. This doesn't just work with me because it moved in your hands a moment ago. You take it. We're gonna trade.
Oh God.
I'll mix these up. I'm gonna pick one.
Can I pick one? Can I be the one?
You're not a wizard.
Okay. I just want to
Okay,
participate.
we can look at. Okay, yeah. We won't show them this time. We won't show them this time.
Pick
We won't
me.
show them this time. So we'll put them out. Place your hand on mine. Okay. Hold it over each one. It'll go in a. It should start going in a circle or a straight line. 4 of them will be a circle. 1 of them will be a straight line. That's looking like a circle. Okay, keep going. That's a circle.
Circle.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You need to adjust.
Circle.
Circle. Okay, keep going. See?
That's a
Another
circle.
circle, yeah.
Let's
Oh,
see.
you're so far
It's holding
away.
off all the way.
They're all no.
Yeah, that's okay. Go back if that's the case. It'll start changing direction over just one of them. Over just one of them, it should change direction. Yep, keep holding. Oh, that's adjusting.
That's a clear
adjusting.
signal.
That's a clear signal. Here's the thing. I picked the square again. Let's see how you did. Let's see how you did.
Oh, I have energy. Am I a wizard?
You are a wizard.
Okay.
You are a wizard.
On a level of kangaroo to brain explosion, how good is this?
So good.
Okay, so that's the performance. Some people in the chat were saying some great stuff. Thank you, Jeff. Wendy says, yes, this is great. This is a great killer effect, and it's how her and I met. Wendy has shared some great pendulum stuff. I'll be talking about pendulums a little bit here as well. So first things first, history and crediting. I came up with this independently. It turns out it was very similar to an effect with tarot cards in Eugene Berger's book Strange Ceremonies. And that's where like the second half of the effect, pardon me, choking on my own vomit, or spit. That's where the second half of this effect has the most precursor. There's lots of spectator as mind reader effects with marked cards, of course, but that's the only thing that I could find with pendulums that and cards and marked cards that's similar to this. My original idea was to have 4 photos in envelopes, having one of them be a little baby wrapped in blue and then the other 3 little babies wrapped in pink. And it would literally be a sex detector. We would use the pendulum to find out which one was which. The original method was to show them all. I would take them under the table to mix them. And when I did that, I just swapped it for a one-way stack. A stack of envelopes that had nothing but, the boy or the girl in it. And so it didn't matter where the spectator ended up. Which I still love. I think that's really cheeky. I think that's really fun. But it's more formal. You have to have the items in your lap and everything else. I did a while with business cards where it's a Richard Webster idea where you write oil on a card and then you find it, and then I would swap it out with a stack of business cards where they all had oil written on them. And then just making it as simple as possible, I decided to do marked ESP cards, because if they're marked, you obviously know which one they choose and you know where it is. And then the second phase, you just pretend to memorize whatever you've got, put it out, and whatever the spectator ends up on, you say it's going to go, one direction over 4 of them, a different direction over 1 of them. You give them that suggestion, and it eventually will. It's one of the cool things about pendulum. I have some beginners who say to me, well, what if it doesn't move? Well, that video is a perfect example. If it goes the same direction over all 5 of them, again, this is a psychic test. It's not a magic trick. And you're testing them. So you just say, it's okay, go again. We'll keep going until it goes in a different direction over 1 of them. And eventually it will. Eventually it will. Even if it stops cold, and that's kind of spooky when that happens, you can just say like, oh, I think that it must be that one. And now whatever, you get the reaction over, you look at that mark and say, I picked the bacon, or I picked the square, or I picked the whatever. This is so deceptive and so offsetting that off camera, after we filmed the explanation, because I taught it to those girls, they responded to, they used to do filming at bars, and they would do casting calls, who wants to learn magic, and so they showed an interest, they came, and like many reality TV shows, it's not real, you're not just pulling random people off, you're getting people who are interested in learning something. And the one girl in the group, she was like, but how did she find her card? And I was like, no, we had to explain it to her 3 times for her to understand that, no, we were just lying. And so even people who know won't follow. And also, I mean, again, if you use the right cards, and like all marked decks, if you use it properly, they won't suspect it. So a couple things that I do with this now. First of all, when they mix them up and spread them out, and I tell them to take one out, there's a subtlety I use that's not in that video, and I use the Gypsy Glimpse. I hope that title, ages well, or doesn't age well as time goes on. But that is what it's called now in 2022. For future generations watching back, please understand. We're trying to be better, but that's the title of this right now. Don't ask me about the Hindu shuffle. So, you just close your eyes, and then as I say, go ahead, pull one out. I now cover this eye, and my eye is open. And for those of you who haven't used the Gypsy Glimpse before, this is a killer technique. Right now, I can see all 5 of those ESP cards. I can see their marks, and they're over here. And these are much more subtle marks, so you have to be a little more attentive, I would say. Again, I haven't used these marks as long as other marks too, so with time, of course, you'll get more proficient at it with any marking system. But even with just these, even though these are newer and I haven't used them as much, like right now, I can see the order of all the cards on the table in front of me. And as soon as I see them take it out, I say, and look at it. And that's when I close my eyes and look away. So now when they're looking at it, they're seeing this image. So I know the card before they do, which is a great, great moment at that point. And that's really fun to do at that point. So let's talk about the pendulum for a moment. Now, a couple other things to with the pendulum. I believe this is. I first saw Luke Germain do this. I don't know if it predates him. Someone in the chat, if anyone knows if this does. Does I vote to change the name of that glimpse? Yeah, let's call it. What should we call it? Can we call it the Wolfman glimpse? Can we? Okay, Jeremy says. Dr. Jeremy Weiss says yes. Okay, you know what? I'm working on writing this up for a book. I'm gonna start calling it the Wolfman glimpse. There we go. There we go. Oh, the Pirate Peak. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's. Sorry. Well, Pirate Peak might take it. Okay, everyone put it in the chat. But anyway, so I think this is. I first saw Luke Germain do this, where you use the actual ESP card as a guide for them, almost like a pendulum chart, to do a circle and a straight line for them to get practice with it, to learn it. And again, this might take handing it out to 1 or 2 spectators. Again, I hear so many magicians who are worried, what if the pendulum doesn't move? First of all, it will eventually. You be patient. Eventually it will move. That said, just having people hand it to different people and go with who it works with the best. I mean, that's how actual ESP tests work, so that's fine. And I like this because it's a way to kind of introduce the cards, because these are both strange objects for the spectator. They're not, it's not a mirror box and hippity hop rabbits, sure, but these aren't. It's not something that everyone are instantly familiar with. They might remember Ghostbusters. They might have had an aunt who did this when their cousin was pregnant or something. But, they don't know the rules. They don't know the parameters of the experiment. And again, the thing I love about this is that feels like an experiment, because it kind of technically is. And they can go about and do, and then they find it. Again, you just miscall whatever they stop on. I'll say this much. It is amazing how often they will find the genuine card you look at. Now, yes, based on odds, once every 5 times, you're not going to have to miscall. You're going to call the card you actually saw. That's just pure odds. But I'm willing to bet it's more than just odds, more often than not. Or like you saw in the clip, where they find their own symbol again. And I'm much more happy when they find their own symbol again, because it seems like, oh my gosh, they'll remember it as they found it, and all of them were different. Which I think is an interesting moment. And again, being able, you could switch these out with one-ways, but at the end, being able to turn these all over and show that they're all different after they found the ESP symbol in their hands, to me, that's what sells the whole effect and really drives it home for them. If anyone has any questions about this, put them in the chat. While you're putting those in the chat, I am going to take this moment to do my shameless plug that William so kindly encouraged. If you go to my web store, which you can't access through my main website, you got to go to joediamondlife.com/store. You need to type that in. Everything in that store is on sale currently. And if you put in the code ESP before the end of the weekend, you'll get an additional 20% off your entire order. So even if it's already on sale, you'll get another 20% off. That's just for this group. People watching this after this weekend, watching the recording, sorry. But very likely many of the things will still be on sale at different points, so still worth checking out.
And once again, I just want to reiterate, that's joediamondlive.com/store. They can't find that from your main website. You have to enter /store.
You have to type it in. I don't have a tab. I don't want everyone finding that. I'd like to keep that to us, because that's how I make my living, with the material on that. Something that's a little bit easier to find is my penguin lecture. Now, for those of you who don't know about these, this is a download card. Normally, people sell them at lectures. There's a scratch-off code, and you basically add the lecture to your card, type that code in, and you get it added. The lecture's normally $40. I just got a new batch of these, so if you get it directly from me, it's $20. This is half off. while supplies last. I've got less than 100 of them. You'll have to get through me directly. Use PayPal. I'm at Joe Diamond Live on both PayPal and Venmo. If you want to do a different ordering system, if you want to do a card and Zoom, we can do that. I'm pretty good, pretty flexible with that type of stuff. If you want to get it half off directly from me, that's available. And then I have a free group. We mentioned it before. Joe Diamond Mystic Circle. That's where I talk openly about the behind the scenes stuff as mystery performers. I do mini lectures in there. People share cool stuff as well, such as William sharing this convention. I've had people sharing some really cool stuff with tarot cards recently, which has been really cool. That it's really amazing with everyone. Everyone doing that. John says it's an outstanding tarot trick on that lecture. Thank you so much, John. Thank you, Wendy, for agreeing. Doug Diamond says, when I've done this and they find their original symbol, I congratulate them on their accomplishment, but remind them they are supposed to find the symbol that I looked at. I remove the original card and repeat, continuing as described. Oh, that's a great idea, Doug. Yeah, because now you got 2 hits. Now you get that extra hit if you want. That's a great idea. I love that. I love that. That's a really great idea. So yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. I believe that is everything. We got a nice batch of alternate titles. The Squink Lips, Pirate Peak. Yeah, Pirate Peak's probably gonna win. Who did Pirate Peak originally? Steven Galgano, you are my hero. Pirate Peak wins the internet for today. And Lucas, oh yes, Lucas is a member of the Inner Circle as well, or Mystic Circle as well. So thank you, Lucas, for being here. Thank you, William, for putting this together. I will turn it back over to William. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. I know you've got to head out for a gig, so thanks for finding the time to come in here and hang out with us. So everybody, let's give them a round of applause, some claps. I know everybody's muted, but I think we can see you. So thank you, Joe, once again for sharing your material with us. So our next presenter is going to be Mark Strivings. And I actually know Mark from Denver, Colorado. We go to the same meetup groups, and I'm always amazed by just the breadth of his material that he produces. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to find you, Mark. I just asked to unmute you, so you might have to reach up to do that, and then I'm going to add you here alongside me. So once again, Mark, it's been a while since we've seen each other because of COVID, but it's good to see you digitally. Could you go ahead and talk so we can make sure you've got sound?
Checking, 1, 2, checking.
Yes, awesome. That sounds great. So once again, we're so happy you're here today. I'm always amazed by when you show up at the various conventions and you show all of your mentalism routines. I'm just always coming to your booth, show me what you got, right? So I'm really happy that you're a part of this. So please show us your ESP routine.
Okay. Well, thank you, William. It's good to see you, my friends. Good to see everybody. I will tell you the truth. I'm currently on my phone, which means I can't see anybody. I can see myself right now, but I can't see any of you. So here's your chance to leave, and I can't possibly be offended. So here's your shot. One quick story, which kind of relates actually to one that has already been told. Many years ago, about 25 years ago or so, I was at a PEA convention, and my good friend Richard Webster that particular year showed up with a bunch of Haynes reprints of the cards, but they were done in white stock. They weren't the blue backs with the stars, which William has already talked about and which you've already seen. They were white on the back with blue stars. And because of that, if you had decent backlighting to the card, you could see right through it. And one of the other guys at the convention just kind of gave me a nudge and pointed this out to me. And we proceeded to have a field day with a whole bunch of the attendees at the convention. And all we had to do was just select a card and hold it up and look at it. And we could see right through the card, and we were flipping folks out. It was great fun. It's a rather, pardon the pun, transparent method, but nevertheless, it was a great time. And so actually those decks are out there. I couldn't begin to tell you where to find them. It would have to be the secondary market, but it was kind of fun. And so anyway, that kind of relates to what has already gone before here. I'm going to share with you a routine that I came up with actually about 30 years ago. And it's something that, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the routine. It's a 3-phase routine. I'll do the routine for you, then I'll back it up and I'll explain it. And then I'll give you some background on it and things like that. For this, I'm going to have to take you down to the tabletop. So I'm going to cut my own head off here. Here we go. And I am currently, as you can see, I'm in the middle of a ton of projects. So excuse the mess. So I figured you could handle it. So this is these. I was particularly pleased when I saw these because of this right here on the original cards decks, as you've seen. These were on there. The write up on the back. I was really pleased to see that all of that was included in this remake of the cards. And you're about to find out why. Because I'm going to take the cards and I'm going to go out of frame with these for a second. And I'm going to do, in fact, I'll just go under the table here. And I'm going to adjust one thing here. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. There we go. Okay. And William, if I could get you to help me. Are you there, William?
I am here. Yes. Hello.
Here's what I'm going to need your help actually throughout this. You might as well just stay unmuted.
Sounds great.
Here's what I want you to do. The five symbols. This is the way I introduce the effect. Is I explain that I have here a deck of cards that have each of these symbols on them. I give a brief explanation. I keep it very brief as to what they are, what they were used for, so forth and so on. But William, I have made an adjustment to this. This is the entire deck, all 25 of them. I've made an adjustment to this deck specifically ahead of time. And I want you to pick one of those 5 symbols, whichever one you are drawn to at this particular moment. What would that be, my friend?
The star.
The star. Now, I should point out, we did not prearrange this.
No, not at all.
William didn't know until right now that I was going to be using to help me with this. Okay. But like I say, I made an alteration to this particular deck before I asked him anything. And I'm going to show you every single card in the deck. In fact, here, I'll do it this way. I'm going to show you every single card in the deck. There is one card that is backwards. All the rest of them face the same way. Stunningly enough, that one card that is backward is the star. Okay, which is what you chose. So that works out nicely. But I want to try something actually. Let me find a set of 5 here. 2, 3, 4. Are they all there? Yes, they are. I've got all 5 of them. And I'm going to add one extra thing here. I've got in my pocket an envelope. And inside this envelope, I have a single folded slip. I'm going to leave this right here where you can see it. Now, here's the thing. I'll leave that and I won't touch it again until we're all done. These are the 5 symbols: the star, the plus sign, the circle, the wavy lines, the square. That's all 5 of them that are from the front of the card case here. And I'm going to give them a quick mix. And now I'm going to play your part on this one, William, because this is one that
okay.
much has to be done in person. But regardless, so I've got all 5 of them, and I've got the surface here. I'm going to go ahead and use it. And basically, in this particular case, what I would have you do is in fact, we can still do that. Pick a number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. It's up to you.
Number 2.
Number 2. Now, I should ask you: is there any particular reason for that?
It was completely random. I felt the psychic powers, I think.
Your psychic powers. Okay. Now here's the thing. Number 2. This is 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. Reading from your perspective right here. I'm going to turn my head so I'm going to get in frame so you can see. And I'm not going to see this. Okay. I'm going to show you what card you selected. I can't see. There it is. Can you see it? Is it in frame?
Yes, I got it. Perfect.
Okay. And I'll put it back. Okay. Now here's the thing. And I'll mix these all back up. This envelope has been sitting on the table since before we started. You had a free choice of any one of those 5 cards that you wished. Inside the envelope, I showed you that there is a single piece of paper, a single slip. And for the first time, William, again, I didn't see it. What card did you pick? What symbol did you pick?
The star, of course.
Oh, you picked the star again. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, using Joe's lead, you're doubling up on your psychic powers. Okay. So here we go. But here is what's in the envelope once again. So I tell you what, let's go for a third time around. Okay. And again, I'm going to have to play your part on this. All right. Let me mix these around here. And again, I'll use the table. There you go. We in frame? Yes. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to want you to pick a number. You want to go left to right or right to left? I'll give you choice this time.
Left to right. My left to right.
Your left to right. So from this end, okay.
Yes.
Give me a number between 1 and 5.
4.
4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Again, I'm going to turn my head so I can't see. There it is. Can you see it?
Got it. Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to mix these up. So that nobody knows where anything is. And again, I will lay this out. Now, if this is one that you pretty much have to be in person for, but that's okay. I will play both parts. To do this, what I would have us do is I would have you take my wrist like this, and then I would just go down the line. And you don't know where your card is. I don't know where your card is. Your symbol is. That's a better way to put it. But eventually, all that would happen is at one point, I would just run, and my finger would drop right on one of the cards. Now, what's for the first time? Again, I didn't see it. Everybody else did. What
It was
symbol?
the plus sign.
The plus sign. And the one that you led me to right there, the plus sign. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. Now this, and thank you, William. We're good. Now that's in essence, that's a quick little 3-phase routine. And it works very nicely. I will show you exactly how all of this works. And let me do a quick reset here. Here we go. Hang on. This goes here. And this goes here. Okay. The opening phase to this, I particularly like the fact that you have this here because you can use this as part of your presentation and without having to show the cards. And having the illustration right there on the box works out beautifully. And this first phase owes a great deal to a piece by Stephen Minch from his book, Mind Novas, which came out back in the 80s. Perhaps somebody knows. I know that original printing is long out of print, and it would be a challenge to find. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Minch reprinted a lot of those books from the 80s a few years ago. So you may be able to find that. Regardless, it's Mind Novas. It's a terrific little book of dealing entirely with effects for ESP cards. And this first phase owes a lot to that. I added a couple of things, just little subtle things. The effect is 100% his, but I added a couple of little subtle things for a reason that I'll explain here in a second. And this is a multiple out. Okay, that's all that this is. You can pick any one of the 5 symbols that you want. It makes no difference. I took the cards under the table. They were already stacked, but I took them under the table, and all that I did was I checked my stack to make sure that I was in the right order. But I was apparently placing one card. I was doing something with one specific card. And using the numbering system that William has already talked about, and again, if you're not familiar with this, it's real simple. The circle is one continuous line. So we think of that as a number 1. The plus sign is 2 strokes. That's 2. The wavy lines has 3 wavy lines. The square has 4 sides, and the star has 5 points. So think of them numerically. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of ESP effects that are based on that exact thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all you have to think about here. If they pick the circle, which is 1, that's the top card of the pack. There it is. So I can set the cards down. I can hold them in my hand. Whatever. If they pick the circle, I can say, I told you I placed one card specifically right there. There it is. If they pick the plus sign, which is 2, that's on the bottom. So there's your second out. If they pick the 3, which is the wavy lines, there is, reversed in the center, there is one card, and it's the star. It obviously is its own out because that's what William chose. But right on top of that is the 3 wavy lines. And right beneath that is the square. So you've got all 5 of your outs right here. If they say 1, it's on top. If they say 2, it's on the bottom. If they say 3, you preface this by saying, I reversed. I took one card at random and I just turned it over and shoved it into the middle of the pack. Let's find that card. There it is, happens to be the star. But this is where I shoved it into the pack, and you picked the 3 wavy lines. There they are. Or conversely, I shoved one card backwards into the middle of the pack. There it is. And it is right next to the square. So there are your outs. Okay. Originally, does that make sense? Are there any questions on that? If you see any questions, William, let me know, because as you know, I can't see the chat. So
far, so good.
Okay. Yeah, it's super easy. It's super easy. So you can set this up and have it in the case, and you're ready to go. Just take it out and do it. So there's that. When I originally came up with this routine, some of you may know I do a lot, and I'm kind of known for doing strolling mentalism, walk around mentalism. And that's what I originally designed this piece for. Multiple outs, however, in a strolling environment are not the best thing in the world. Okay, they really aren't. They're not a particularly good idea, but it's something that I would use on occasion. Obviously, I don't have to do this, but what's nice about this is that if they pick either 1, the circle, or if they pick 2, the square, I can then say, and I only do it in this instance, if they pick one of those 2 for the first time, I can repeat the effect. And and let's say in this particular case, let's say they pick the circle. So I've got the circle, and I say, now what I didn't tell you is that I also set another card. And for the first time, I say, pick one of the other symbols. Don't pick the circle, but pick one of the others. Now, here's the beauty, and I didn't show this part to you. Let's say they pick the plus sign. Right underneath the circle is the plus sign. So I'm not doing this, thing where you then turn the deck over. There's a congruency of action here in this particular case. So if they pick the plus sign, I say, and right underneath it, I put the plus sign. Likewise, and conversely, if they pick the plus sign and I turn the deck over, there it is. And I say, pick one of the others. If they pick the circle, boom, there it is. I didn't show you that. It's the next card. Okay. So, and I'll explain this stack here in a second. It's super easy to remember. Okay. So there that is. And if they pick one of the other 3, if they pick, for instance, the star, like William picked, in this case, I'm already face up. I could spread the deck on the table. There's one card that's face down. That's the star. The wavy lines in the square are on each side of it. So there's your second phase. Now, like I say, I only do that if they pick either the circle or the plus sign the first time. That's the only time I ever do that. But it makes for a lovely little, cohesive routine there. And the main addition that I put into this is that, and here's the stack. It's 1, and again, using numbers, 1 and 2, and then down in the middle, exactly in the middle, I have 5 with 3 on top of it and 4 beneath it. Okay. And then down on the bottom, I've got 2 and 1, the reverse of what's on top. Okay. So 1 and 2, 2 and 1, down on the bottom, 5 reversed in the middle with 3 on top of it and 4 beneath it. Okay. That's the basic stack. One thing that I added to this is I made the top 5 cards a complete set of 5. In this particular case, they're set up in order 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so that they're there because I'm going to move on to a second phase from here, and I didn't want to have to go searching. So there they are. Exact same thing is true on the bottom. There's the 1, or that's the 2, that's the 1, but then there's also the other 3 are right there. Okay, so I've got all 5 on the bottom as well. So if I end up on the bottom of the deck, I can just take those first 5 cards and I'm good to go for the next phase. Okay, so any questions on any of that? Are we good? I'll take these. It appears that they are general questions for you, William. Okay, and I'll move on to the second phase.
Yeah, we're good so far. I'm trying to check here. I'll let you know.
Okay, if anything comes up, let me know. This next phase, and for the second 2 phases, I just need 1 set of the 5 cards. And for the second phase, as you saw, I introduced this envelope, which had been sitting in my pocket. And inside of there is a folded slip. There is some hanky poo going on here, and allow me to explain. Here's what you have to do. This makes use of this is classic methodology here. The envelope is not what it appears to be. The envelope is a window envelope. Let me see. Let me do this. There you go. Big honking hole in the back of an envelope, but there's more to this particular envelope. Inside of this envelope, and I don't know how well you can see this, there is also a partition. And basically, and there's the window. There's the window. All that you do is you take one of these envelopes, you cut off the entire back so that you have just a slip of paper that matches the other envelope. You cut a big honking hole in the back of this one. There you go. And you cut the back off of here. You have to cut the flap off kind of like that far down. Okay. You cut right across there. Okay. Don't cut it right at the bend, cut it below that. Then you take and slide this inside. This is what's known in the parlance as a window envelope. If you had just an envelope with this in it, it would be a double envelope. And I independently came up with this about more than 30 years ago. And I had never seen this before. I call it cleverly enough, the window double envelope. Okay. Because it has a window and it's a double envelope. And I had never seen that before. And so I independently created this. As it turns out, I have since discovered that this kind of a concept had been around for quite some time, actually. But to my knowledge, and this is true to this day, I'm the first one to use it for what I'm using it for. In the past, when this situation, a window with a partition behind it inside the envelope, when that was used, it was shown. The window was visible. In my case, the window is not visible. But here's what I use it for. And this is a utility device that you can do tons of stuff with. I'm not kidding. Tons of stuff with, okay? What you have here is you have a window, you've got an envelope with a big honking hole in the back that you can load stuff through, interestingly enough. But you also have, if you flip over to the other side of that divider, you also have a solid envelope because it closes up that window. You have a solid envelope. So here's what you do. You take folded billet. In this particular case, this one has a star written on it. And this gets folded up and it goes into the solid side, not the window side, the solid side of this envelope. Okay. That goes right there. And you close this up and this can live in your pocket. Just pull it out when you're ready. Just don't flash the back. Although if you do flash the back, it's not a big deal. Okay. Because it's kind of beige art. We'll call it that.
Yeah, and Zoom, we don't see anything, Mark. You can hold it like that for days. I don't see anything.
You can flash it.
There's really nothing.
Yeah, you can't see it. So I don't worry about it, but just to be safe, I always make sure it's in this orientation. And certainly when you put it on the table, put it with the address or the solid side down. Okay. So, before the effect begins, reach inside, pull out the slip, show them that you got it there. So it is in evidence from the get-go. You go through and you mix the cards. You have one selected. You can do that in any way that you wish. They pick one. And then you read the marking on the back, of course. If it happens to be the star, which is what William picked, you're golden. The trick is over because it's already in the envelope. But let's say they pick one of the others, okay? This makes use of an index, okay? You've got the others in an index. Now, I will be honest with you. I dropped my index. It's down here on the floor. It's normally in my pocket, okay? But I've got another folded slip right here. So you take this, what you do is you get that out of your pocket and you just have it in finger palm. And this couldn't be simpler. All that has to happen is when you display the envelope, just simply turn your hand over underneath the envelope. That positions the billet right there. You're all set to go. Reach in. You're pushing up through the window. It automatically opens to that side. Pull out the billet seemingly from the envelope, but it actually went through the window. It was never in the envelope. You open it up and you show whatever symbol it was that they picked. Okay. So it's a combination of an index with a special envelope. And that works out great. As you see envelope. It's funny you should mention that, Alexander, because that's not the way that I do it anymore. This is the way I originally published it, and it's the way I did it for a long, long time. Nowadays, I use my own sight unseen case. This is not this. Our forum today is not about this, but with this, I can do this effect and have it in my pocket, and it's ready to go. And I can do it that way. And I can just produce the selected slip from the inside of the case. So plus I got my business cards right there and all that. But this is one that you can make yourself. Okay. So get yourself some coin envelopes. These are, I believe, on size number 3. You can get them at Office Depot and whatnot. A little bit of, 3 minutes of arts and crafts, and you're good to go. Okay. So there you go. That's the middle section. Is anybody, any questions on that? I'm guessing.
So we did have someone ask if that window was on the flap side or the non-flap side, but I would say that it's
not flap side. There's the flap. It's on the other side. Okay, on the solid
and
side.
then just to reiterate, then you put the billet with the star inside the area that is kind of acts as an envelope.
Yes,
and then
the solid side, and the rest are in a billet index suite that you can access, and you just load them through the back, and boom, there you go.
That's great.
Okay, classic methodology. All right, and the final one, this actually is kind of similar to what Joe just did with the pendulum, in that you've got the 5 symbols, they mix them around. And this is the way that I do it generally, is I'll have them pick a number 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They pick whatever it is that they pick, and they look at it. I'm doing this in a strolling environment, so I don't have to, it's easy for me to, show everybody. I won't look. I can turn my head. In this situation, it's a little different. So, but regardless, you spot the markings, so you know what they got. And then you have them mix it, and it's the exact same kind of thing. And then you spread them out or lay them out again. They don't know where their card is, but this becomes a pendulum. Since what Joe just did with the pendulum, it's the exact same thing, except in this case, it's almost like muscle reading. They take your wrist, and you just run down the line, and you spot the marking, and boom, and there it is. You get it, and you show it. So it's super simple. These days, I should tell you where this is in print. Let me bring you back up to the talking head. There we go. This is in print. This is in my book, Mobile Mentalism, which was published in 1996. If you do a search online, you'll pull up bunches of references to it and sources. Murphy's has it, so your favorite dealer has it. You can get it directly from me. I'll tell you how here in a second. There were actually 2 volumes of Mobile Mentalism. This is in print. This entire routine is in print in volume 1. And it's readily available, as is the Sight Unseen case, by the way. You can do a search online for this, and your favorite dealer has it, or you can get it from me. If you're cool, you'll get it from me. So anyway.
And how do we get that from you, Mark?
I'll tell you here in a second.
Sounds good.
But in the years since I published this, as I mentioned at the beginning, this first effect, using the card box, using the full deck, in strolling, there are issues with that. Okay. There are issues because it's a multiple out. Multiple outs don't always play the same way. So if you get what I've always called a puppy dog, if you get a puppy dog who starts following you around, if you're doing a strolling gig and you get somebody who starts following you around, I just keep my eyes open for these kind of people. And if you got that kind of person and they're now seeing the same effect over and over and over and over, and it does happen, believe me, it's not common, but it does happen. If I've got a completely new group, then I don't worry about doing this first phase again. It's not a problem. But if I've got a puppy dog, I should tell you, I was doing a lecture and I don't remember where. I'm tempted to say Wichita, Kansas. I'm tempted to say I was lecturing several years ago. And I was talking about this aspect, having a puppy dog follow you around. And one of the guys, I'm pretty sure it was Wichita, one of the guys in the crowd said, yeah, we call them hemorrhoids. Anyway, neither here nor there. But if you've got hemorrhoids, if you got a puppy dog who's following you around, yes, they do that at trade shows, don't they, Doug? Yes, they do. So this wouldn't fly at a trade show. This is not a good idea because the outs are different. But if you're doing this as a one-shot kind of thing, obviously, you can do this as an opener. It's a great way to introduce the deck. And so there you go. This is a great way to do it. But if you're doing strolling, like I say, I only do that opening effect with the multiple outs if they pick the circle or the plus signs. That's the only time I do it. And even then I'll kind of let it, I'll skip the next bunch. I won't do it there. I kind of spread it around just to avoid any potential issues with the fact that it is a multiple out. and because of the way that those things play. But regardless, the effect itself is very good. It's a good effect. It's a very nice effect, and it couldn't possibly be easier. These days, what I tend to do is, since I'm generally speaking, I'm leaving this out, I just leave it at home. I take just one set of the 5 cards, and I'll have them in my sight unseen case. I'll have them in here and here. I'll have them in this. You can't see this, but I'm putting them in the case. So there they are. I'll have them in here. And if that's all I want to carry, then I'll do the effect where just that Joe did with the pendulum. I do that exact same thing with the apparently pseudo muscle reading thing. And all you need is the 5 cards. Just take it out and do it. And you're set to go. There's 0 reset, and you're perpetually ready to go. If I happen to be set up with the pocket index, and I'll talk about the pocket index here in a second, which I dropped on the floor. If you've got a pocket index, and if I've got that, and if I'm set to go, yes, it's called ESP for profit, for fun and profit. That's the name. Good to see you too, Zeg. Hey, I'm going to be in Kansas City next week. We should talk. Anyway, if I'm set with the pocket index, then I can do the phase using the envelope that I did with the envelope here. I can do that with my sight unseen case, and I can now do a nice little 2-phase kind of a thing, and it works out great. The pocket index, I'll just have to describe it to you because, wow, it bounced all over. It's one that was actually described back in the late 30s, I'm tempted to say, maybe early 40s, in the Jinx. And it's one I have used for decades, ever since I first read about it. Simply take a book of matches, regular paper matches, get the big size, the kind that has 40 matches in it, okay, the bigger size, and then you take your billets and you just slide them in on each side. Picture, I don't know how to show this to you. Anyway, the book of matches is open on each side. Slide one billet in from the front, in between the cover and the front of the matches. Slide another one in the back, between the back of the matches. Do the same thing on the other side, and then you've also got underneath the flap that holds the cover in place. Slide another one, boom, underneath that little flap, and you got 5 outs right there. And it sits in your pocket. It's very easy to navigate. You can keep track of which billet is which. It's a great way to work, and reset is a snap. Just pop the billet back in where you need it, and you've got it. So that's what I use. But any index that's designed to hold billets will work just fine. So, are there any questions? Anything I can tell you about before I do my shameless pitch? Anything come
I'm
up?
looking here, and it looks like you explained this all very well.
You know,
So-
I have found over the last 2 years doing these explanations virtually, I never get questions. So
We do have one question, actually. What is the effect
please.
called in your mobile mentalism book?
It is called ESP for Fun and Profit, which is an homage to my dear friend, the great Richard Webster. ESP for Fun and Profit. It's the last effect in volume 1 of Mobile Mentalism. It's the last effect in the book. And the entire
And we do
thing
have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We do have another question by Jeff McBride. He asks, how do you unload the star and the SUC wallet if they pick another symbol? And he says he loves your wallet.
Thank you, Jeff, my friend. I appreciate that. That is proprietary information. I use a technique that I call the master move, which allows me to invisibly switch a billet that is in the case like this. It allows me to invisibly switch it for one that I am loading in. In the manual that comes with the SUC, I give you a way to do that. It's not as good as the master move, but in essence, what it is you've got a billet that is palmed, let's say, and then you've got another one that is visible in the case. Okay, it's visible in the case. And all that happens if you got one palmed, I've got this one here. When you go to the case, just a slight necktie will do it. Just your necktie, for those of you who aren't card guys, your necktie means you just tilt it towards yourself, shading the action. And underneath there, you just do one of these. You can just push this right in and bring this right out. That's one way to do it. The move that I call the master move is actually much better than that. It's completely invisible. And so that's what I use. Okay. Anything
Where
else?
can we learn the master move?
The master move you can get directly and exclusively from me. Yeah. You can get that for, and
And
I'll
how would
explain
we do that, Mark?
how would we do that? I am what is known in the digital world as a dinosaur. I don't have a website at the moment, but here's what you can do. You can send me an email to this address, Marky, M-A-R-K-Y, April, like the month, A-P-R-I-L, Marky April at AOL.com. Yes, I have AOL. Keep it to yourself. Anyway, and put in the subject to send me an email, and in the subject line, put info wanted. I get lots of emails. And so if I see info wanted, then I know it's somebody who's looking for some information. And if you would, in the body of the email itself, just put ESP convention or something so that I know it's from this event. And what I will send you, there it is, William, if you want to put it in the chat. Okay. What I will send you, I will send you
Keep it there.
Yeah. I will send you 3 things. I will send you information on the sight unseen case. I will send you information on, did we get it?
We got it. Yes, thank you.
I will send you information on the sight unseen case, which is this little jewel right here. And it is a jewel. That's me honking my own horn, but trust me, if you don't have this, you need this. Okay. That's all I will say. And I'll send you information on that. Included in that information is the master move, is a whole bunch of other stuff, because there are a whole slew of support. Yes, you have, haven't you, Jonathan? I know for a fact you have, my friend. This has literally a whole library of support materials for it now. So I will send you information on this and everything associated with it, including the master move. I will send you information on the mobile mentalism books, which is where this routine came from. And I will also send you just my general catalog, which has all of the stuff that I have available. And there you go. So I should mention too, it's going to probably be tomorrow. It may even be Monday before I have a chance to get to those. Okay. So if you send me an email looking for that, I promise I'll get it back to you, but it may be a day or two. This happened to be one thing that got added to what is already an extraordinarily busy weekend. So I may or may not be able to get right back to you on that, but in any event, thank you, Jamie, my friend. It's good to see you. Hope to see you in person sometime soon. That would be nice. So there you go.
Well, we appreciate your time today, Mark, and thank you for sharing that wonderful routine with us.
Wendy, the answer is yes.
Wendy asks if our cards will fit in your SCC wallet, and I believe the answer, like Mark just said, is yes. So if you could just hold that up. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
And does that hold all 25? Because I know that's a little thick.
That's a bit much. I mean, it can, but you're going to be stretching the wallet at that point. It's designed for business cards. So this is not a wallet. This is a business card case. So.
And so you would think maybe 10 cards, 2 sets, that would fit no problem.
Yes, you could do that.
And just so everyone knows that these are bridge size cards. I didn't mention that earlier, but this is a bridge size deck. So it's a little bit narrower than the poker size. So that's why it fits so well in
they fit beautifully. Yeah, they do.
Business card cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy says she needs another SUC now. So
you know where to get them.
Okay, Mark, thanks again for joining us today. We will hopefully see you in Denver very soon.
Absolutely, my friend. Thanks. Take care, everybody. I got to take off. I won't be here. For the other presenters, I'm sorry I'm going to miss you today. It couldn't be avoided, but I will catch up to you when the video is available. And everybody, don't screw up. Thanks. Have a great day, guys.
See you, Mark. Okay, so we're going to get right into our next presenter, and this is going to be Anthem Flint. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight Anthem here. If you could just wave for me, Anthem, so I can find you in our long list. Okay, I found you right. Oh, I found you here. Awesome. And I'm going to ask for you to unmute, so you should be able to unmute yourself as well.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey, welcome. So if you don't know Anthem, he's been on national TV with AGT. He performs with their show Anthem and Aria. And I believe you just got off of a cruise ship as well, which is quite exciting. So I'm so happy that you're here. Another person from Denver, another person I get to hang out with and jam with quite frequently. I was able to see his Fringe Festival show last year. It was fantastic. And I'm just really happy that you're here with us today. So I'm just going to let you go right into it and show us your routine.
Thank you so much, Will. I appreciate the intro. And it has been so nice to spend a little bit of time this morning with so many familiar faces and friends. Tommy and, of course, Mark Strivings, who's been a friend for a long time. And so many people that I love and recognize in here. Jeff and everybody, thank you guys for being here. I'm going to keep my presentation very brief with one simple trick that works great in a virtual environment. I've been very interested in the ESP effect only recently, the ESP like matching effect very recently. And there's been a few great versions on the market come out recently, including E-Wave by, who is that, Mark Oberon. How many of you have seen E-Wave or own it, perhaps? Yeah, Tommy's got it. Yeah, there's a couple. It's a great trick. And I do it on stage. It works excellent on stage. How many of you have seen the Icon ESP effect from Luca and Alan Wong and all them? That's another great ESP matching effect. And I'm sure there's more that I haven't seen. But I had one problem with both of these. I felt that, one, the E-Wave, while looking great on stage, was a little big in a virtual environment, and you had to put it behind you. And that kind of was a little bit fumbly for me, and I didn't love that. And there was one other psychological problem that I have with this effect. When you reveal all 5 cards at once, the audience has to do a little bit of mental connection. Does that match? Does that match? Does that match? But if you were able to reveal one at a time, that would fix that problem. And that's, of course, what the Icon ESP had going for it. However, I felt that that one felt a little bit unnatural in the way that it looked. So this is my solution. And for those of you who haven't been able to get one of these effects, but you want to do something perhaps virtually, or even in some parlor environments if the lighting is right, I thought that you would enjoy this. Ooh. This is a little inspiration from T.A. Waters and his effect Black Card. If you don't know that, it's in Mind, Myth, and Magic, also in volume 1 of his DVDs of Mind, Myth, and Magic. And that's originally inspired by U.F. Grant's Jumbo Space Thought. So I won't waste too much time with presentation or boring you guys with the stories that we all know about J.B. Rhine. Instead, I'd love to just grab somebody to help me with this so I can just give a quick demo of it. Who'd like to help me? Will, can you unmute someone for this?
Raise your hand if you'd like to participate, and we'll spotlight you here. Just make sure that you have your mic. Michael, I saw your hand first. I'm going to ask to unmute, and I'm going to spotlight you here with Anthem.
Hey, Anthem.
Howdy.
Oops, we'll try that again.
Oh, it was working for a second.
It should be good now.
Okay.
Oh, he just muted himself again. Just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Can you unmute yourself, Michael? There we go. Michael, you obviously are very familiar with the 5 ESP cards that were used in the chalkboard-laden halls of Duke University. But are you familiar with your own psychic senses? Let's find out. Starting right here, what shape do you believe this to be?
Oh, that feels like 3 wavy lines.
3 wavy lines. Fascinating. Did my camera just go out?
I believe your camera might have just gone out. Yeah, I see you frozen there.
Frozen in time.
That's okay. That's I couldn't find my dummy battery this morning, but that's why I had one charging right off camera.
Well, and I guess this is a great opportunity to switch in those wavy lines for the right one, right?
Yes. That's the method.
Time for a PSA.
Perfect timing there.
All right. Unfortunately, I can't seem to even get the battery out. So let me switch over to just my. Oh, wait. Magic.
Now you're back.
We're back.
Gave,
We're back.
Gave it life like the Messiah himself. Okay. Here we go. Let's try this again. So wavy lines, dropped them right in there for you.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that weird glitch. Let's try here. What shape do you sense here?
I'm going to go with the circle.
Ooh, yes. Interesting. Let's keep going. What about this one?
Oh, let's go with this square, please.
Yes, yes. And that leaves us with just these 2. Let's do this one. Which shape
You
is
know
this?
what? I'm going to go with the star. Let's go with the plus sign. Yeah, let's make it a plus sign.
Very smart move.
Thank you
indeed.
very much. Thank you. It's
Which
a
of
gift.
course leads the star, which
There
goes
we go.
here. Now, you saw that those 2 you obviously got right, but let's see if one at a time you got these absolutely correct. That's the plus sign, that's the square, that's the circle, that is the wavy lines, and that is the star. You really are psychic. Oh, give Michael a big
Well done.
So obviously, I don't think the method is too unusual to many of us here and is being used in some of these popular effects. Thank you one more time, Michael. I'll send you back to the land of the living if that's all right. Wonderful. So I just want to talk really quickly about the construction of this, how to make it right, and some of the handlings with this. First of all, yeah, this is inspired by T.A. Waters' Black Card, and he used just a small chalkboard and one glass. And his glass is better than these, I will say, because he used like a fluted, like a beer stein almost, and it held the card a little snug. And if you can find those kind of cups, go with that. These are the ones that I just happened to be able to get at the time. And I've been using them ever since. So all you need is these 5 glasses and this little fancy display that I've just spray painted. Basically, all this is, I went to Michael's, I got one of their cheap pieces of wood and a couple dowels like this, and a couple little itty bitty tiny dowels like this. And all I did was I glued one of those kind of fat square dowels here on the back to give it a little support. I drilled a couple holes and put these in, and they go up into this. This is just poster board like Elmer's presentation board. It's not a fancy slate or anything like that. It's just like got foam in the middle and 2 layers of black paper. Great stuff. And honestly, I got enough of this for just a few bucks to like make a bunch of spirit slates too. Very economical. So once I basically put this little square on the back, drilled a couple holes, put these in, stabbed it through, and hot glued it on. That's it. What's nice about this is that they do hold the cards very nicely for moving if you just tilt it back. So you can get this off and on very easily. And if you were to add a little bit more of these around the edge, your glasses would never fall off. So very easy to build this. Any questions particularly about the construction of this? Because it's dead simple. This is just white paint. I wanted it to look a little bit like a chalkboard. But I don't see any questions about the construction.
People have just been saying that how great this looks and the setup is beautiful and nice and clean. It looks great. So just wonderful comments, but we did just lose your screen.
Yeah, now I'll switch over to my other one. Here we go. Not quite as nice, but it'll do. So yes, I've gotten some compliments on how this looks, which I'm surprised by, honestly, but that's it. This is very easy to make and light, very lightweight. As for the glasses, there's a few things that's interesting to note about these. Obviously, this is a little bit of black art, and there's actually 2 cards in there, but you obviously just start off with the one that's face out, so that when it's this way, completely disappears against the black, right? A few things, if you're using glasses like this, it's important that it tilts a little bit, like so. Yeah, virtually the glasses are fine, but you can also use these in parlor. They look pretty fine in real life too. You just have to make sure the lighting's kind of coming from the side a little bit more than straight on. And that's part of why these are tilted like this. When they're tilted like this, the light doesn't quite catch it as easily because all the light's coming from this way. And if it was tilted that way, obviously it would catch more light. And it is tilted that way when we reveal because the contrast of the white card will totally kill the black. You won't be able to see it. Your eyes just, they can't handle it. So it's important that it's tilted a little bit like that to prevent the light catching. And also that prevents this from showing at the lip a little bit. As you see, sometimes when you turn it this way, since that's further back, it could be seen. You got to get your angle just right. But that is one of the only big secrets. Now, there's one thing about the handling that I learned, and that is when you actually rotate everything, you got to get your wrist movement just right, because that's the only real work you got to do. Everything else does itself. For me, the wrist movement is I have to turn my elbows out and grab this way and do a full rotation of the hands, and boom, it lands perfectly. Boom, lands perfectly. Boom, lands perfectly. And if you don't get it quite right, you'll get that problem. So you got to practice the actual wrist turn, and you got to do it quick. Now, of course, this is not quite perfect. I'd like to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can, but sometimes it doesn't look quite right. So the best thing to do is to get this absolutely to mix them up a little bit. This overwhelms the visuals, and they're not able to really tell. So boom, 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 boom. There's too much going on. They can't catch any black art. Their vision is just too all over the place, but it gives them just a little bit quicker of a chance to see what's happening versus some of these other versions like E-Wave. Now, I saw one person was wondering, how did I get them right? And to clarify, I should talk about that. Before the trick starts, I have all of the cards in order on one side of the black piece of paper that's inside here. Now, this is just nice silk paper. You just cut it out like that. And you want it to be a little tight. You don't want it to be too loose. So on one side of that, I have it face out. But when I turn it around, obviously, it will vanish completely. These are obviously not in there yet. So I already have them in the right order in the glasses, just on the other side of the black paper. And it doesn't matter in what order they say anything. You just drop them into the front compartment. Now, what's nice about the tilt of this black paper is that it will push the card against the glass, but it will also let the other card lay gently against it in the same kind of way, like that. So when you turn them, they are kind of tilted in the same way, and they look kind of similar. So it doesn't matter what order I put them in, because when I turn them around, these are the cards that are in order. For those, does that make sense for the person who asked that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks for that explanation.
Okay, cool. So that is my little ESP effect. I didn't want to waste too much time. I just wanted to show you a really economical way to achieve this in virtual shows that requires no skill. And what's nice is that this cost me about $60 with a Michaels coupon, and I'm left over with tons of extra material, spray paint, all sorts of stuff. So for less than, I'd say if you have some of the stuff already laying around, for less than $100, you can, less than $50, you can build this. So any questions about this nice little twist on T.A. Waters' black card or anything like that? I subtly matching the cards before putting them in the glasses. Yes. Oh, yes, I love that someone said the shirt forcing the wavy lines. Yeah, that was my idea. It looks like there's no questions coming up. So
okay, great.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, everybody. I hope you like this, and I hope you use it. It's a lot of fun, and maybe you'll use it in a different way, but this allows us to use these awesome ESP cards. Let me do my shameless plug.
Oh, yes, that's important.
No worries. If you're interested in Q&A, the act of answering the audience's questions psychically in close-up, stage, and parlor environments, either written or unwritten, I highly recommend you go and get our Penguin lecture, my lecture with Aria at Penguins called Anthem and Aria Live. And it's 6 hours long. It's I think they said the longest Penguin lecture ever made, which really ticked off the Penguin guys filming it. But it is a very big resource for everything Q&A. So if you, yes, Bakor Magic, that was something I wanted to bring up. I like their version, but it's too low on the table for me. That was one of the versions I wanted to bring up. Thank you, Lior. If you want to learn about Q&A, Penguin has our live lecture, and I hope you enjoy it. However, if you want to learn about pendulums, readings and intuition and all that stuff, you can also find some of that stuff on Penguin. But if you want our full catalog, please visit anthemflintshop.com, which I'm going to type into the chat right now. Anthemflintshop.com. Everything is very discounted right now. So just hop on over there. I send everything by hand, so it may just take like 30 minutes to an hour for me to get it to you, unless you're across the pond and you order it like 4 a.m. and it'll take me a little while to get it to you. But check out our catalog. And if you have any questions at all about anything, reach out. I love helping people with their routines. I love mentoring, and I love doing anything I can to help the art. So, hey, reach out to me anytime through Facebook or through my email, which you can find on anthemflintshop.com. So that's in the chat. There's my shameless plug. Thank you all so much for being here. Like Mark, I do have to go I have to go get my tux fitting for a wedding, but thank you all so much. And I'll see you around, maybe in your dreams. Woo.
Hey, thank you so much, Anthem, for joining us today. What a great black art principle for Zoom. I know that's been quite popular these days with just so many Zoom shows that are out there. So thanks for sharing this relevant routine with us. Up next, we have a good friend, Jonathan Pritchard, and I'm just really happy that he's here with us today. He's helping us behind the scenes a little bit too. So I couldn't do this without him. So I'm really glad he's here. I'm going to go ahead and add you here, Jonathan, beside me. So he travels over the US performing at trade shows and at colleges. And he performs mentalism as well as reads tarot at these colleges. And so I think that he's got like a very unique, very unique performance style that's different than I think what a lot of people are doing. And so whenever he says something, I always want to listen to what he has to say. And also he seems to know like everything. So if you want to know about NFTs, he's the guy to ask. If you want to know about software systems, he's the guy to ask. Pretty much speaker systems, he's the guy to ask. So he's kind of like, he helps me with everything that we do here. So we really appreciate him for that. And I'll turn it over to you, Jonathan, and I'll let you get started with your routine.
Outstanding. And 20 minutes starts now. Okay, so I could go on for hours of what I want to share with you. So I'm going to try to slam as much in here as I can. Kind of my background is in 2003, James Randi came to my college where I was attending for art school, and he just blew my mind. And that's how I started working in the summer of 2003, handling applications for his $1 Million Challenge. So I handled those for about 4 years and helped run the Amazing Meeting for 13 years, which was my kind of fast track master's course in mentalism. So this is Randy's lock-in key routine that is hilarious and amazing. These you should recognize as William's cards, and the smaller ones are right there, and the magician there. These are from the first time I performed at the Magic Castle, and that's the book I wrote, Early Plug. All right, so what I want to share with you is a routine that Randy walked me through to absolutely destroy my brain, because he was explaining the importance of double-blind testing, and we went through this as though it were a legit test, and it just melted my reality, and he let me sit on it for almost the whole summer before he showed me how this works. And it has now become one of my favorite kind of showpieces in my show that was perfect for Zoom as well. So it's kind of a one-to-many Zener routine that is really, really cool. So I'm going to try to include as many details as I can without being overwhelming, so we'll just have to find that balance. Anyway, let's just go through it, which requires me to go to gallery view, because I'm going to put this over here so that it'll sound a little bit like I'm a little far away, but hopefully you'll be able to see the cards. I'll hold them up to the camera as well. So with a deck of Zener cards, there are 5 symbols repeated 5 times. And we'll go through them here in just a moment as well. Just like to give them a little mixy mix at the front part. So with 2 decks, give them a cut. You have 5 cards repeated 5 times for a total of 25 cards. Now, if we just go through them one at a time, you'll see that, actually, let me bring this up. You'll see that we are expecting to get about, okay, so there's our first match. Both are circles. So in a deck of, or 2 decks of mixed cards, you should see between 3 and 6 matches from randomly shuffled packs of cards. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, boy, I came here for a show, something entertaining, and this is about the most boring thing I could possibly see, and here's our second match. So as you can tell, science is actually mind-numbingly boring, right? This is our third match. As we go through, you might see another couple, but what's interesting is if we didn't do this, and later you think about this, you would go, you know, I bet a couple of these just matched anyway, and we lucked into it. So this way you can prove to yourself that some of them do match. Like this is our fourth match, and most of the others don't. But we have to go through one by one to prove to your logical, rational mind that just by the numbers, we are going to see some matches, but overwhelmingly not have any that do match. And okay, so this is what, our fifth match, I believe. So just straight on the numbers of what you would expect. So 5 matches out of 25 cards with 5 symbols each, right? So that's pretty darn good. So we got these, and give these a cut. So now we're going to involve all of you. If you feel, because we're going to play a game, right? And the game is, if you feel, so this is going to be my pack, and so that you can see it with the camera, there we go. So this is going to be my pack, mine the whole time, and this is your pack. This will be for everybody here on the call. And the idea is that yours will stay face down. We'll put it right here-ish. And then mine will be face up. If you think that this is a circle, I want you to give me a thumbs up. You can give me a thumbs down if you think it does not match, but there are no vetoes here. We only care about the yeses. So if you feel that this is a circle and this is a circle, that they match, you give me a thumbs up. And we've got 25 of these to go through. Thank you very much, Joseph, for being there. You're super clutch. And since it's a little difficult to see from this camera, we will also jump to this view so that we can move a little faster. So that was a yes. So those will go right there. So next one up is another circle. Give me a thumbs up. I see William is a down vote. Aiden's a down vote. That's a nobody. I'm not seeing anybody. Okay, wow, that's a whole lot of no's. So this will be our discard pile over here. So this is where the discards will live, and the matches will kind of occupy this space over here. Plus sign, any love for the plus sign? All right, William says yes, we'll add that over here. And we just go through just like so, 3 wavy lines. Love for the, okay, see, so like 3 or 4 of you gave us the thumbs up for the 3 wavy lines, which always makes me feel a little bit more confident that it actually is a match. Some thumbs downs, but Shad, thank you very much. I love your supportive spirit. We'll add that as a yes. So again, face down, face up. Any love for the star? Yes, Tommy says yes to the star. We'll go through. Plus sign. No, but John, I see you, John. I feel that connection and love. He says yes, so we are including it. Face down, plus sign, another plus sign. All right, Aiden says yes, we'll add that there. And we just go through. Square. Down. Yep, Tommy says yes as well. We'll put this here where we can see it. And yeah, again, you can see that science is mind-numbingly boring, but thank you, Steve, for saving us with that thumbs up. Next up, we've got 3 wavy lines. And okay, Michael, thank you very much. Now remember, we saw only 5 matches, and we've got so many yeses here, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. All right, Julie, yes, you say yes with the thumbs up. We're about halfway through here, so if you've enjoyed it so far, awesome. Steve with the double thumbs up, we'll throw those over here. And 3 wavy lines. Double thumbs down, double thumbs down. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody, so again, we'll put those there. Circle, any love for the circle? All right, double thumbs up from Kex, beautiful. Lay that here. Square. All right, no, oh, Aiden at the last minute saved the square. Plus sign, any love for the plus sign? All right, nope. Throw those over that away. And a star. Steve says yes, so we are including it. Squares. Are these both squares? Aiden says they are, so we are including them. We're getting into the back end of our cards. So another square, going once, going twice. No, love for the squares. Next up, 3 wavy lines. Are these a match? Steve says yes, so we'll scooch that there. Looks like we've got about 4 or 5 left. Are these both plus signs? William is just hating on his own cards. I think he's only said yes to one. He's like, these cards are awesome. Okay, circle. Any love for the circle? Steven says yes. And a star. Steve says yes. A whole bunch of people say no. And last but not least, a star. Any love for these? Aiden says yes as well. So with the discards over here, doing this on a hardwood table was a huge mistake. Let's check it out. We've got a circle and pluses. Nope. Wavy lines and squares. Nope. 2 plus signs. So you guys missed at least one. Out of all these that you said yes to, you missed one. All right, so shame on you guys. And we've got 3 wavy lines and the squares, so that's not a match, and a circle and a plus sign, so that's not a match as well. So we've got 1 match here out of the about 5 matches that we could expect. So somewhere here are at least 4 matches, 3 to 5 matches if we're going just off the percentages. So my job is to find which 4 are actually real matches. And very, very early on, the one that had the most people with the thumbs up was this wavy line. If you play it back, you'll see that there were about 4 or 5 people that gave us the thumbs up. So I am absolutely sure that, yeah, those are both the wavy lines. So that's off to a good start. And this one, for some reason, is feeling correct to me. So yeah, those are both squares. So that is 2 out of 2. Let me see. Yeah, wavy line, wavy line. All right, so that is 3 out of 3. We'll put those matches there. And the last one, I believe, would be these 2 are circles. So boom, nailed it. Thank you. Amazing. Please hold your applause. Just like, no, William, please hold it. Hold it. It's really awkward if we don't all come together, right? So as you can see, that's incredible. But would have been even weirder is if all of you actually got these correct. Like that would actually just be impossible if these were all matches. There's no way in the world that could actually happen. But there you go, match after match after match. And that is how you just destroy somebody's brain, right? That just melts people's minds. So that is the effect. And then I will come back over here to the main camera to try to explain what in the world's going on, because there's a lot going on. Jeff, name of the effect? I have no clue, man. Randy just sat me down at the kitchen table at the foundation. He was like, let me show you something. So I have no clue. I've thought of this as kind of like a Zener out of this world, because he also destroyed my tiny little Zener. I'm from the mountains of North Carolina, so I try to pronounce it the best way that I can. Zener. So yeah, Randy just destroyed my world with out of this world 2, and it's that same kind of flavor of the audience is matching something but doesn't really know how or why. So there are some wrinkles to this that I really, really like. There we go. All right, so there's no way that I'm going to be able to reset this apart from the color difference here. But basically, here is what's going on, which is you've got 2 sets of cards. Now I'll move these back just a little bit here. And you know what? Let me just go back to the overhead. So you've got 2 sets of cards. And William, you don't know this, but you solved one of the biggest problems that I had with this routine, because the 2 sets are different colors. And that's fantastic, because there's no way that people think this is some kind of Mexican turnover, weird kind of, oh, it's blue on blue, he's doing something sneaky by switching or something. the fact that you always have brown and I always have blue, and they are always together, blue and brown, makes it super clear that these are distinct decks, which is really, really neat. All right. So the basic idea is that your two decks are in exactly the same sequence. I don't really care what that sequence is. You can shuffle one deck and then use that as the sequence that you put them in, but you just put them in the same sequence. So for example, well, I'm not going to do it here, but it would be that this one would also be circle, plus sign, star, and you just go through and match them so that this deck and this deck are in exactly the same sequence of cards. Does that make sense? Top down would both match every single one. Now, some work you do ahead of time is from one of my favorite tools on the planet for magic and mentalism, big old toenail clippers. I prefer toenail clippers for corner shorting and corner rounding, because if you use smaller clippers, their radius is too short. You want a nice even curve like so, because this card, I've rounded this corner and this corner. I'm left-handed. If you are right-handed, I feel sorry for you. Round the opposite corners. I don't care. So welcome to my world, left-handed magicians. All right, because when you cut the deck, boop, there's your corner short and there's your corner short. So as I'm holding in dealer's grip for myself, my thumb naturally goes to this corner. And all I got to do is go up the side, feel that corner short go snap. And now I know we're back in stacked order. I much prefer a physical cue that I'm correct rather than trying to keep track of which marking it is, right? So here you can just go boop, and it's done. So this one starts in deck order, and this one starts in deck order. And its top card has been corner rounded and corner rounded. And you can see that that's a pretty darn good corner. You don't get a straight cut approach to it. So the way that I do it is I short from this side, then that side, and it makes kind of this weird point, and then the third clip takes off that point to round that corner. So it's 3 snips per corner, and you get that perfect finish. If you want to be fastidious about it, you could then buff it out with the fingernail buffer. But you've got to be careful, because if you only do it a little bit, it just frays the card and you've got this weird feathering to it. So I don't even try to make it neat with the fingernail file. Clip, 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 done. Clip, 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 done. And now I've got my indicator that I'm back on track. So they both start in exactly the same order. And then when you're saying, oh, I want to make sure that these are well shuffled, you go to our best friend, the Charlier Shuffle, which is so ridiculously good looking to me. I love the Charlier Shuffle because I love not looking like I know how to handle cards. Sure, I can do second deals, bottom deals, whatever, but when I'm in public, I handle cards like a goober, is basically what I say. It was like, my magician friends make fun of me because of how I handle cards like a goober. So I only do the Charlier Shuffle. So now you've got these have both been Charlier shuffled, which means they've both been cut. I want to get ahead of the game. So I feel for that snap put that down, complete the cut. And now this deck is back in sequence. It's back to the beginning. I just undid all the work I just did with the Charlia cut. So this one's ready to go. This one, I do a swivel cut that keeps it. It's a false cut that keeps this stack out of sequence, right? So it's now out of phase by, I don't know how many cards. I just know that these are now out of sequence relative to each other. And I know that I can't happen to Charlia cut them the same way. And then you have a very bizarre image where you're going through and some of these match in first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one match. And you go, oh, I just Charlia cut both of these in the same in the same place. And we're back to them both matching, right? So this one gets cut back to stack and proper 1 through 25 sequence. This one has been Charlia cut, false swivel cut to keep it out of phase. Does that make sense? Well, I hope it does, because that's our 20 minutes. That's it, right? So the rest of it is window dressing. You go through, show that they don't match. You get 5 that do match. Then as you come back, you cut this one, swing cut this one, and now you've got your perfect matches for the deck. And the rest just plays out straightforward. I know that was a lot to slam through, but this is my absolute drop dead favorite Zener routine just on the planet. And it works great for a large audience too, because you've got people yelling at you, it's a match. And you go, okay, look at how many we've got. You guys are clearly explain the nose. Right, yes, okay. So since these match, these are face up and these are face down. Okay, so mine go face up, these go face down. I'll do it over here-ish, right? So as I pick them up, these stay face up and these get turned face up. So now they're out of sequence. This one's going 1 to 2, this one's going 2 to 1. And now I can go, look at that, circle and a plus sign and a circle. Boy, if you guys would have reversed that, it would have matched. It's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. So you pick this one up, keep it correct. This one gets turned over, which flips the order as you go through, and now none of them match. It's just.
So why did the one match?
Ridiculous. Oh, because if you've got an odd number of discards, the middle card will match because you're coming at it from different directions. So those are the two that say hi to each other. So you will have at least one match if they are offset or odd. If they're even, then you've got a good chance of none of them matching. But because you've got the chance, 1 in 5 of them genuinely will match due to the nature of how they get distributed from the yeses or nos. So you're just going to have some matches in the discard, which I love, but you don't know how many, and it doesn't really matter. But you're not going to get like 8 matches in the discards, right? Like, yeah. So this, I don't know where this is in print. I don't know where you could buy it. This is shown to me by Randy sitting at the kitchen table, and then me doing it for about the next 20 years. So yeah, that's the routine. It's phenomenal. And the fact that these are different colors fixed the one last detail about the routine that I was still a little meh about, which is everybody thinks that there's some kind of Mexican turnover switch going on. But now with the different colors, that is solved completely. So yeah, that's the routine. I miss Randy a lot as well, Steve. One of my favorite people on the planet and one of the people that means the most to me. So yeah, thank you very much William, for letting me share that. Yeah. So if you like podcasts, I've got symbolsandsecrets.com, where I'm just having conversations with some of the coolest magicians and my friends on the planet. And then let's see what else. And then I am starting up professionalmentalism.com, because I've worked for BP, State Farm, Discovery, traveled the world doing this. I graduated college in 2006. By the time I was in 2008, I had done 19,000 shows at Universal Studios. So that was a lot of flight time. And that was a long time ago. So I too just love helping people be the best performers, and also make a living and business out of this gem called mentalism. And also, if you want to see my personal, like, professional portfolio website that I have for myself that I send my clients to, somehow icanreadminds.com was available. So you put that in, it will forward you to the portfolio website. That's jonathanpritchard.me. Somebody's camping the .com for like $10,000. And I'm like, I'm not worth $10,000 for that URL. So that's it. That's all the time that I've got. William, thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to be a part of this. And it's great to see so many familiar faces. And yeah, I love life and being able to share this common interest with so many amazing, wonderful people. So that's it. And I'll be hanging around. I'm not leaving. I'm sticking here with you guys. So that's it. William, back to you.
Well, and I put all 3 links here in the chat. You might want to just double check those, Jonathan, make sure that I didn't misspell any of those. But
Yep,
I did
nope,
put
looks
them all in
good.
the chat here so they can visit all of your websites, and hopefully maybe join that professional mentalism group as well.
It's just starting out. So I've got the community for a lot of the professional consulting. Like, I sell mentalism as business coaching, because sales, negotiation, presentation skills are all just communication skills. Mentalists are theoretically the best communicators on the face of the planet. So I sell the secrets of communication to business folk. So I've had that platform for a long time. And I was like, I bet other mentalists and performers would love to kind of understand the business side of mentalism, since I've been sharing the mentalism with the business side. So that's how it all is coming together.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And once again, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing this routine that you learned from the amazing Randy. And that story was just wonderful too. So we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So up next, we have Tony Burnett. He's got the Magic and Mysticism podcast, and I'm going to spotlight him right here. And he just invited me as a guest on that show yesterday. So if you want to go back and watch our interview, you can do that, and he can tell you all about where to find those details for the Magic and Mysticism podcast. And he's had a lot of great guests on that show, and I'm sure you're familiar with all of them when you go back and you look through those. So I highly suggest checking that out, and we'll put a link there to the in the chat room here in a bit. Also, Tommy is known as New York's most loved mind reader, and I'm really glad that he's here with us today to share his ESP routine with us. So Tommy, I'll let you take it away from here.
Thank you so much for having me. And by the way, William was my last guest yesterday on my podcast, and I know there's a lot going on. My name is Tommy, not Tony, but I get that a lot. Yeah, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But thank you, William, for having me today. And what a great convention so far. All my favorite people are here, and maybe one day I'll be one of your favorite people too. I'm going to start my timer here so I won't go over time, because I tend to be over what's the word? Not overwinded, but I talk a lot. So, despite the fact that I was born with cerebral palsy, my whole life people told me nobody's going to want to hear you say anything. I now am a public speaker and travel all over the United States and some parts of Europe as well. So my routine is based on a combination of things by Dan Tong and by Carl Wentworth and a few other people as well. But it's a conglomeration that I put together specifically for today, so I hope you enjoy it. Can I get somebody to help me out here? Could you put somebody next to me, please?
Yeah, do you want to just choose someone at random here?
Sure.
Maybe Thomas, would that be, I think he'd be great.
Anybody will be fine, yeah.
I'm going to add Thomas here beside you, and I'm going to ask to unmute you, Thomas.
Oh, I know Thomas. Yeah, okay, sure.
So I just asked to unmute. You might want to see if that alert popped up for you.
I did unmute, didn't I?
Oh, yes, you did.
Yes,
Good.
you did. Good to see you, Tom.
All right, then.
I'm great. Thanks for being here. So, I don't know if I did this for you. I might have done this for you already one time, but
At my age, you could do it again. You'll be great.
yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Let me change my view. There we go. Get that out of the way. Oh, actually, before I do this, I just want to say that I have an envelope here. We'll keep it safe in my pocket here, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. Okay. And again, I won't go into the whole explanation of ESP cards because we all know that. But I am going to say that they are not in any particular order, and I'm going to pull out. Let's see. We'll take out a circle, and let's see. Let's do waves and lines here. Let's see, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Nope. No, we'll do this in order here. We'll do waves and lines here, and then a square and a star. There we go. And we'll place these in a row like this. Now, I was inspired by that book that I showed you guys earlier. There's a photo in here of them doing a test called the blind matching test. And I'll show you it once again. Here is a blind matching test. And what basically what you're doing is the psychic is on this side, and these are face down, and the tester will shuffle the rest of the cards and give them a bit of a mix, and I'll use the solitaire shuffle too because I like it just as much as anybody else, but I'll also give it a bit of a riffle, and overhand and a cut, okay? And then they will deal the rest of the cards out into 4 rows, like this. And it will be the job of the psychic to determine which card out of each pile will match one of these. And keep in mind that these symbols might not be in these piles. We don't know because they were mixed. So, but if I were to ask you, Tom, 1, 2, 3, or 4, which card do you think would match this one here?
Number 2.
Number 2. So I'll take number 2 out and place it there and get rid of that row. Now, you can also say I don't think it's in there, and I will take the whole thing out, and that row will be eliminated. So if you don't think the match is here, I'll just get rid of it. Okay? So would you like 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Number 4.
Number 4, okay, and we'll get rid of these. And again for the middle card, 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Number 1.
Number 1 is perfect. And let's see, for the fourth card, 1, 2, 3, or 4.
How about if I say they're not? The pick is not there.
Fair enough. So I'll even eliminate that card. Okay. So now we're down to 4 piles.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a match in this row? And if so, is it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Number 3.
Number 3. Cool. All right. Now, I was just going to double check here and see what we got. Okay. Okay, now I can tell you right now that there's only one in here that is a match. Now, don't feel bad about that because part of that might have been my fault, but there's only one match. So, which pile do you think is your matching pair? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so we'll take number 2 and place it. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Did you say that was number 2?
No, the other one.
Okay, the other one. Good. Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, cool. So this is what's going to happen. Okay, like I said before, in my pocket I had an envelope here, right? And I'm just going to place it right here. And I'm going to show you the pairs first that will not match. So you have a circle and a plus sign here. You have a what do you call it? A wavy line and a square, and you have the star and a circle there.
Huh.
So no match is there, but the one that you stop at is a perfect match.
Wow.
Now, that was a long, drag-out way of showing people how hard it is to actually do this on a regular basis. But I've been doing this for 40 years, and so I just wanted to show that I knew in advance that the matching pair would be the plus signs.
Good.
Thank you, Tom. And now if I could have my screen back.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't remember you doing that before.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I messed it up halfway through, so I had to keep going as if I hadn't. So
well, I'm the one that picked the numbers.
You did nothing wrong. I was the one who did something wrong. So, but thank you very much. Now, let me reset the. Okay, I have 11 minutes to go. Great. It shouldn't take that long to explain this. Now, the way I've been doing this online is as a virtual effect. I have an envelope index basically, and the way I've been doing it is I have the envelopes off camera, but the last time I did that I flashed, so I didn't want to flash tonight. So I just keep all 5 envelopes in my pocket. One says the matching pair will be circles. matching pair will be crosses, etc., etc. Now, it didn't take to set up another deck, but for time's sake, but it'll be easy to set them up. So you basically set the whole deck up in numerical order. So circle, plus, wavy lines, square, and star, and you do that 5. Actually, you do that 4 times, and then leave the other 5 to one side. So let me do that real quick. Wavy line, square, and star, and circle, plus sign, wavy line, square, and star, and then one more set. So circle, plus sign, sorry about this, wavy line, square, and star. And so that leaves a circle, plus sign, wavy line, square, and a star. And the way I set these up is behind every star, from face to top, I place a circle behind the first star, then I place a cross behind the second star, then the wavy lines behind the third star, the square behind the last star there'll be 2 squares there, and then in front of the plus sign, I place a star. I do that to insinuate that the cards are not in any particular order, so when I go through them, I can say, okay, so we're going to use that one, 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 and we're going to use that one. And now the rest of them are in stack. And you don't have to do it this way. If you want to keep them in numerical order, you can. I usually will, I'll start out by doing an optical shuffle, which is in Royal Road. And if you don't know what that is, all I'm doing is this. But I think it's really good on Zoom, because especially if your hand's moving, it really looks like they're being shuffled. And then, of course, the Chevalier shuffle, I do it a little bit differently. I try and make them messy. So when you put them down on the table, they look like they're messy. And then I just give them a cut. So I have no idea what the top card is going to be, and that's what screwed me up the last time doing the trick. Because normally I put all 5 in there, but I was trying to do something different. So in this case, you do need to have the cards in the same order as the ones here, and I'm really sorry because I was not thinking about the explanation. Okay, so I had to do some quick thinking during the performance. But so here they are here, and you do the full shuffle, right? And then you deal them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you haven't guessed, these are all circles. These are all crosses. These are all wavy lines. These are all squares, and these are all stars. Then you can pick any number. Let's say 2 for here, 3 for here, let's say they say nothing for this row, so you just take that row out. Let's say they say 1 for this row and the last one for that row. And what I normally do, I couldn't do it today because I screwed up during the performance. But if you take the top card and put it on the bottom, when you, oh, that's not right. Oh, I'm sorry. No. I was skipping ahead. I'm sorry. These go in the box. So now they pick one of these. Let's say they pick this one here. This will be the process. So at this point, as I'm picking these up, I reach in my pocket and pull the second envelope out. So now I say, remember, I had this envelope from the very beginning. Now I take the top card and say, you could have picked any one of these, and it goes on the bottom. And now I can show these are not matches, and these are a match, and I knew in advance. Oh, pull out the wrong envelope. Good one. Sorry about that. I have this marked for a reason. Pull this one out, and it says the matching pair will be crosses, and that's pretty much the routine. Any questions?
That's fantastic. I'm looking at the chat room right now just to see if there are any questions. And it seems like you did an excellent job explaining that, because I don't see any questions, but I do see, I love how you get it down to a single pair. Brilliant.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John.
And I think that display to show, just moving the one card from the top to the bottom to display them all different.
Right.
I think that's
I
very
forget,
fair. And
yeah. I forget, I'm sorry, I forget where that came from. I read that somewhere in the book. If you take this and put it on the other side, they automatically become displays. I've seen some people do this, and I don't think that's the right way to go, because it doesn't look like, So I like flipping them over and showing these, and I really spread these out apart so you can see.
so you're not getting those repeat stacks,
Exactly,
right?
exactly, yeah. And, I've done it where they can choose the amount of matches, so like up to 4. So if they say, I want 4 matches, then I just don't do the envelopes at the end. It gets really great reactions from people. The last time I did this was about 2 days ago at a fun an organization that helps people with mental illness, and the people were floored by it. Probably not by my presentation as much as the effect, but these cards are so they're so great, and even though they're marked, you don't have to use the marking system. I use them just to make sure that I know what envelope to pull out, so I look at the marking, but you really don't need to. And I have 30 seconds left on the clock, so allow me to, I do have a number of mentalism pieces for sale at magictaboo.com, and you can, if you want, you can get a discount. Right now, nothing on the website is discounted, so what I recommend you do is send me an email. Send me an email at TommyBurnett1@gmail.com and tell me what it is on the site you want to buy. I will give you a 20% discount. I only ship domestically, so if you live outside of the United States, I'm really sorry. At this point, I don't do international shipping, but I have a lot of neat stuff, including my book called Cyclops Mind Reading System, which is 2 books in one. It's also my dream interpretation book, and it's all hardbound and color and black and white pictures in here, and fully explained. And yeah, I hope you like that, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the convention. So thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Tommy. We've got lots of nice comments as well
Thank you,
here in the
Lily.
chat
Yeah.
room.
Yes.
Just lots of people clapping, saying, well done, God bless. So yeah, thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing your routine with us. And thanks for being here, and also for having me on that Magic and Mysticism podcast. And I sent that link there earlier in the chat room. So if you want to scroll back and see his wide variety of interviews on various topics in mentalism, anywhere from tarot to ESP cards to other types of routines, please go check that out.
Thank you.
So thanks again, Tommy, for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, so we're going to move right along. We've got people clapping for you here, Tommy. We're going to move right along to our next speaker. Now, sadly, he couldn't be with us today. This is the one and only Alain New. So what he did instead is he actually messaged me earlier and said, hey, I've got this TV spot that I'm going to be on. It was supposed to be yesterday, but they moved it to today. So he was kind enough to record a YouTube video for us where he's going to explain a reading system that he uses with our ESP cards. So Jonathan Pritchard is going to help us with this and cue this up. So here we go.
If it's too loud, I'm sorry. I haven't played it through the speaker, so here we go.
It's Magical Monday with the man who knows. And every Monday I like to share with you a little bit of magic, and today is no different. However, speaking of magic, I am heading back to Las Vegas, middle of the week this week, and very excited about that. I'm about to do a TV gig, which I'll tell you a little bit more about as it continues to develop. But at the end of the week, I'm also participating in a conference that is being held by Artisan Tarot, the people who actually created this amazing restoration of the original ESP cards from 1937. Normally, I like to use 10 of them, even though the packet comes with 25 cards, but I use 10 cards, which are basically 2 sets of the 5 symbols. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about those 5 symbols and how they correlate to other mystical frameworks of the number 5. But right now, please take a moment to like, subscribe if you haven't to this channel, and push that little notification bell by the subscribe button so I can continue to make videos like this just for you. These are my real life stories of the impossible. And like I said, on Magical Monday, we're going to create like a little bit of magic over here with a little reading that involves these ESP symbols. Now, of course, we've got the circle, which represents 1, but it also represents yourself or the world or the people of the world. It also represents the Chinese element of wood. So if you think of it as like the bisection of a tree trunk, that's basically the number 1, the circle. We also have the number 2, which represents the cross, or 2 lines going across like this. It also represents movement, as in the idea of moving across. It's the Chinese element of fire and how fire moves quickly, moves across. We also have the element of, well, this is basically the waves, which could represent actual waves. It could also represent the ocean, and it mostly represents, however, intentional vibrations. So in, symbolic of your own thoughts. So the verb is to think. I also have here a square, which represents, it's the father of all geometric shapes. So this represents responsibility. It represents the verb to guard or to keep safe, and the Chinese element of metal. And finally, I've got here the element, or I've got here the star, which represents the moon and the stars, or the universe, and it is actually it represents to feel, the verb to feel, or as in to feel joy. And so what we'll do is we'll take these cards and I'll give them just a little bit of a mix, just to kind of start things off, to just kind of randomize their order just a little bit. We'll not only do that, but we'll give it a good weave over here. And after the weave, we will we'll give the cards just one more, the obligatory 3 cuts that we always do. So we'll cut the cards once, twice, and then 3 times, right? So now at this point, let's see if we can create some kind of a reading based on the J.B. Rhine and Carl Zener ESP cards. So let's see, first card is across, the fire, right? Chinese element of fire, or to move, as in to move across the ocean, across the ocean, across the waves of intention, across the world, the people of the world, across the ocean, across the world. We must have responsibility for ourselves and the world, responsibility for the universe, and keep spreading those good vibrations to reveal the star within yourself. I'm Alain New, the man who knows. These are my real life stories of the impossible. Subscribe to my newsletter by going to themanwhoknows.tv. Thanks.
So that was the first video that Alain had to share with us. Jonathan, I actually sent you another link to a second YouTube video. So Alain New right now is building up his YouTube channel, and so he was able to use our cards to do a reading for his audience. And then he sent us a private link specifically for this ESP convention that's based off of what you just saw. And so Jonathan, hopefully you got that link, yes? Excellent. And here we go. Here's the private video that he made for us here at this ESP convention.
Thank you so much to Artisan Tarot for having me at this special conference to speak about ESP symbols. My name is Alain New, and today I would like to speak to you about one way that we can interpret the symbols of ESP cards. Now, I've written about simple methods on how you can read ESP symbols, like in my book, ESP Arcana, written by Homer Arcana, who happens to be also my pseudonym. And I've also written more extensively about how the law of the 5 Chinese elements can be correlated with the 5 symbols in the chapter known as Scientific Oracles in my book, State of Mind. And that can be also found in Kindle form on Amazon as well. However, today, I'd like to talk to you about something a little bit more simplified for all of you, to give you a way of how you can create just an easy, almost generic reading that also has a few basic advantages built into it. Now, before I do though, I'm just gonna mention 2 other references. One would be my Penguin DVD called The New Collection, in which I do talk about the scientific oracles and the ESP cards in relationship to all the different mapping of the laws of 5s, as well as Zenermancy, which is written by Doug Diment, but I recommend that highly because he was actually the first to come up with the Chinese elements in relationship to the 5 ESP symbols. And I think that brings relevance to the subject as well. So at this point, however, let me just use these beautiful Artisan Tarot ESP cards to make a first impression. And let's see. Which one? Aren't those nice? They're nice looking, right? In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this one over here. and this one over here. So these two will be my impression for later on, we'll say. And I'm gonna just place them right over here against my crystal ball. Can you see them over there? All right, check. And now we'll use this other packet of ESP cards by Artisan Tarot. And these are in fact the restoration of the original cards from back in 1937. You can even see them, the back design, which is very, very nice on this set of just plain colored cards. I'm going to make well, first of all, let's go through a little bit of the symbols so you can understand what we're dealing with here, okay? I mean, as a refresher, we've got the circle, and this represents the number 1 or 1 line. It also represents the Chinese element of wood. Think of like the cross section of a tree trunk. And it also represents you, or it represents the world or the people of the world, right? And it also represents the verb to grow. We have here also the cross, and the cross represents the number 2, or as in the 2 lines that's used to create the cross. And it represents also the Chinese element of fire, and it also represents the fast movement of fire, literally like as in moving across, get it? And we also have here waves, and the waves can represent literal waves of, or the ocean, or intentional vibrations, and also because of that, the verb to think. And we also have the square, the father of all geometric shapes, representing responsibility, or the verb to guard, or to keep safe, and the Chinese element of metal. Finally, we have here the star, and the star represents, well, it represents the universe, or the moon and the stars, right? And it also represents the verb to feel, as in to feel joy. So let's give these cards a little bit of a mix over here, because we're going to deal with just 10 of these cards. I'm going to use 10 of the 25 that come with a full pack of Artisan Tarot cards. The first thing we'll do after this, after a quick mix, is I'll give these cards just a little bit of a weave over here. And after the weave, we'll give the cards the obligatory 3, we'll just cut the cards, let's see, once, twice, 3 times. Which now brings us to the reading at hand. What do these cards say? What do they say to us? Let's read them. The first one says, a cross. So the representing the Chinese element of fire. So, and we have a lot of fire going on in the world, lots of emotion going on in the world right now. So we've got a cross across the ocean, right? We can say across the ocean, across the waves. In fact, across the ocean, across the world, across the ocean, across the world. We must have responsibility of the world and responsibility of the universe. And that's a pretty complete reading. The first 8 cards represents the complete reading. If we were to go for the remaining 2 cards over here, we can continue by saying, keep spreading those good vibrations to reveal the star within yourself. And it's so interesting that we would end up with the waves and the star to finish these things off, because over here, remember these 2 cards that I placed over here as my impression? Well, look at that. Waves and star. We have come around full circle, boys and girls. So that is my effect, and I hope you enjoyed it. So let's talk about this effect at this point, okay? So this is basically an effect that I designed to create just kind of a really nice, good reading at the very end, while also explaining the meaning of the cards. The truth of the matter is, the cards have always been in that order that they ended up in. And so it's always the same reading. In other words, across the waves, across the world, have responsibility for the world, responsibility for the universe, keep spreading those good vibes, and reveal the star within yourself. So if you were to remember that that's the actual reading, that's actually also the order of the cards. And if that's the order of the cards, simply start by putting those cards in that order. And then remember that very fair cutting of the card sequence. Well, that's because I just cut these cards in that sequence. In fact, it's very easy to remember. You've got the stars, the 2 stars surrounding by 1 wavy lines. Those 3 cards go down onto the table face up. And then on top of that, the 2 squares surrounding the 1 circle face up on top of those 3 cards. And then at this point, it's just across the waves, across the world, right? Those 4 cards face up on top of all that. And now you just have to remember to cut 3, 3, and then just drop the remaining 4 down. And the cards are now set in that order. But the beautiful thing about this particular new order, which by the way is the name of this effect, it's called New Order. Get it? And the new order is this. Look, you can actually show the circle followed by the cross, followed by the waves as the first 3 cards, which is nice. And then by simply doing a double lift after that, you can now reveal the square. And then by doing a pinky pull down to take all of the cards except for the top card, you can reveal the star. And so now, again, you can reveal these cards in order. So circle, cross, waves, square, star, in this order by simply taking 1 card, telling them about the characteristics of this card, taking off the next card, keeping it in order while you're taking them off, by the way, and telling them characteristics of this card. And then you get ready for the double lift at this point while you're talking about this card, and just do a double lift to now reveal this square, and then just do a pinky pull down. So you just separate the star from all the rest of the cards, take all the cards that remain to reveal the star. And now you've just described each one of those cards and revealed them in order before taking all 10 cards and then giving them a shuffle. Now, the truth is that you can shuffle the cards any way you like, so long as it's false. In other words, just make sure that you do a false shuffle. Now, I have a few false shuffles that I teach in my book, Any Card, but I'm just going to show you what I call the overhand trip. And it's basically, it looks like an overhand shuffle like this, but I'm actually doing 2 overhand triple cuts. So basically just like this, I'm just leaving 1 packet on my hand already, then dropping 1 packet over that in an out jogged way so I can keep a real break over there, and then just take the remaining cards and now put them down, but at the same time pick up all the cards, but pick them up separated. Now you can just go 1, 2, 3, and then it's done. So in actual shuffling, it looks just like this. And that's pretty fair, right? It looks like a good overhand shuffle. And then I did a Leonard Green Mexican shuffle, which I think works particularly well when you're doing it with just a small packet of cards, because now you can just kind of go like this and show the actual weaving of the cards as they do so. But really all you're doing is you're taking the top packet, placing it right back on top, but you're starting by having those cards together, and you're just going to weave all these cards right back on top. But at the same time, you're going to let 1 card come up from the back of the cards that are at the bottom. So now it actually looks like the cards are weaving, even though nothing is being disturbed whatsoever. But once you've shuffled the cards, any false shuffle you want, it's simply a matter of doing that triple cut. And that triple cut means that you have to spread over 3 cards, drop the first 3 cards onto the table or your hand, drop the next 3 cards onto the table or the hand, drop the final 4 cards on top of that, you're done. The cards are now in order. And now here's the interesting thing. You now have those cards in order, so you can say across the waves, across the world, have responsibility for the world, have responsibility for the universe. Keep spreading those good vibrations to reveal the star within yourself. Now, obviously, I put aside 2 cards before all of that took place, but it doesn't have to be that. You could have written a prediction by saying waves and star, or even saying something like keep spreading those good vibrations to reveal the star within yourself, and give that to them as the opening little little, like give it to them as like a little fortune cookie surprise before the entire demonstration starts. So when you finally reveal that final 2 cards, you can then say, open up that prediction, and it says, keep spreading your good vibrations, reveal the star within yourself. And that becomes a full circle, fun message, and also an entertaining routine in which you've predicted the final 2 cards and given somebody a little gift at the very same time. That is my new order ESP card miracle. And let me just give you one more little idea, since we do have a little bit of extra time, and that is, so if the cards are in this order, what you could do is have somebody think of one symbol, and it could be any one of the 5 symbols. So like invisible deck style, think of any symbol, and then as you're revealing, you say, across the waves, across the world. Stop at that point and just ask them at that point, say, now you've been concentrating on one of the 5 symbols. Can you first, for the first time, tell us what's the symbol you were thinking of? Well, if they thought of a circle, then boom, they're looking right at the circle at that point. If they thought of the cross, you can talk about how we've already revealed the 2 crosses within the first 4 cards, and that is significant unto itself. Also, the cross is the very first card that was revealed. And then finally, if they thought of the square, that would be the next card. You could say, look at that, that's the next card. And then that would be very potent if they thought of the square. But finally, if they thought of either the waves or the star, it's a simple matter of revealing those 2 cards at the very end. You could literally say, well, you know, it's funny because you could literally, if they said, I'm thinking of the waves, you could say, that's interesting, I was thinking of the star. And that way at the very end, you could just, you could then reveal those last 2 cards as part of that discovery of the message. So that is New Order using ESP symbols. I'm Alain New. I hope you have a fabulous time here at this conference. And thanks again, Artisan Tarot. The cards look beautiful, and I'm really, I feel grateful to have them. And I hope you guys have a great weekend too. Peace.
So thank you so much, Jonathan, for helping us out. And I'm really, once again, very thankful for Alain for joining us during the convention. And what a great way to use the cards, a short reading, and you know, what a great uplifting message to your audience, right, from that. And I think his shuffles were really cool too, that he explained. So hopefully everyone got something valuable from Alain here. Coming up next we've got my friend Patrick Redford, also known as George Tate, and he's got a wonderful set of routines that he's going to share with you. And if you don't know who Patrick Redford is, also George Tate, he's a wonderful performer. He is known for his clever methods and techniques behind magic and mentalism. And so we really suggest you checking him out after he explains his ESP routines. So Jonathan, if you could go ahead and cue up Patrick Redford's video. Here we go.
Hello, I'm not Patrick Redford, I'm George Tate. If that confuses you, go to patrickredford.com and figure it out. We're here to celebrate William Rader's wonderful reproduction of the classic Dr. Rhine cards from Duke University. A beautiful deck of cards worthy of beautiful things and your kind attention, of course. I thought I would jump on, and teach one of the very first ESP card tricks. Can we say card tricks on a mentalism channel? That I ever published. In fact, I think this was the first one I ever published. Carmen is here to help us out and play the role of spectator, and this is what it might look like. So if you aren't familiar with ESP card symbols, there's 5 of them. They were developed at Duke University. Of course, I'm sure other people have already said this, so we don't need to wax poetic, but just to give you a brief history, they were developed for the testing of legitimate ESP, which may or may not be a thing. There's 5 symbols in all: a circle, a star, wavy lines, the cross. There's only 5 symbols. They're repeated 5 times, and the idea is that you would get a sender, much like yourself, to concentrate on a symbol and send it across the ethos, across the table, to the person who's trying to receive her. So for this, you're going to be sender, I'm going to be receiver, and hopefully we can have a successful demonstration. So give us a little cut to start. Beautiful. And to do this, you're not going to be sending 5 symbols. We're just going to do 1 symbol, which I suppose if this was test conditions, we would do it over and over and over to get it right. But I consider 1 hit a success, and we'll speak volumes of your ability as a sender. So we're going to only use 5. So you may get repeats because these aren't in any particular order, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that'll be perfect. And let's just make sure the overhead camera is in position so that these can be seen. We'll just adjust. Beautiful. Now here's what's going to happen. I'm going to face that direction. I'll take my glasses off and turn away from the monitors and the cameras. You're going to turn 1 symbol over, and only 1, just so your brain doesn't get bombarded with all these different symbols. Concentrate on it. Take a mental snapshot of it. If it helps to close your eyes for a moment, do that. Then turn it face down and then nudge everything just a little bit so that I can't be positionally aware of which one you chose. So it's a true double-blind test. So I'll turn away, eyes covered.
Okay.
Let me know when you have completed. You've nudged everything, you've concentrated, you've taken your mental snapshot. And everything should be copacetic.
Okay.
Done? Wonderful. I just realized we didn't do the overhead camera, but it's fine. So you're thinking of 1 symbol. My job is to narrow it down from one of these 5 and get it down to the one that you are thinking of. Oh, that's interesting. We got a couple duplicates in there. Not that one. I said there were a couple duplicates. So statistically speaking, it could be one of these. It wasn't. That means it's one of these. It could be the wavy lines of the circle, complete poker face. Just send the symbol over. You were thinking of the circle.
I was thinking of the circle.
Brilliant. So very simple trick, very easy to do, surefire. And of course it uses a small stack of 10 cards. And if you aren't at a table, I'll show you a way to do this, although the table, rather if you're not seated at a table, you still need a surface to work on. But the table is the best way to do the trick. So very, very simple to do. You need this stack, and you need 5 extra cards. I like to throw in a double symbol because apparently these were mixed after all, but you can choose to do what you'd like. So these start just on top of the deck, like that, with the 5 additional symbols on top there. The shuffle itself is false. I just shuffle a few, I swap the 2 packets and shuffle off. That's just maintaining my top stock of those 10 cards. I turn it over and I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I hold a break, usually with my pinky finger at the back. These are put into a deep cop, and these are copped down to the table as the deck is set down. What I also used to do is have these 5 cards prepared under rubber band around this packet, so they could easily be, the rubber band would be taken off, and these would be stolen out just when taking the cards out. So do whatever that you like. That's how I used to do it. That's how it was originally published. But these are just hanging out in the lap. Now, they do the crisscross force. We all know the crisscross force, but if you don't know the crisscross force, this is the top of the deck. They cut anywhere around the center, and you mark the cut. You need to bring attention away from this for a moment, of course, then you come back and then just deal from the cut point. So they are dealing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the rest are all set aside. So this is the situation. In the instructions, of course, they could easily take the cross. They could easily take the circles. There is a 1 in 5 chance of them going for the cross, but they're not likely to. But I'll show you what happens if that does happen. So in the instructions say, look, I'm going to turn around. When I do, you turn 1 over like that. You concentrate on the symbol and only turn over 1. And that's an important part because you don't want them discovering that they are all the same. Only turn over 1, so you're only thinking about 1 symbol. That way we get a pure transmission of image from one person to another, or whatever wonderful BS you wish to sow. They turn it down and you have them nudge each one a little bit, just so you can't be positionally aware of which one that they turned over. And you sort of emphasize that these aren't mixed together. And then it's sort of a surprising moment when you turn around and do this anyway. It catches people off guard. Now we're just going to swap packets. You could, of course, at this point, just say, ooh, you're thinking of the circle because you're more than likely correct. However, I like to delay, and here's the switch. So these are obtained in cop, and as these come down, these are just swept to the lap, and the copped cards are brought up. That's it. That's the big switch. Silly, but effective. Right, so now they are turned towards you, and you act surprised. So best acting job, very important. Like, ooh, okay, there's a couple symbols that are the same. So statistically, you probably may have thought of one of these, but maybe not. Now, the language here is important in that you say, I need to narrow it down from 5 symbols down to 1, because I legitimately don't know what symbol she's thinking of. She could be thinking of the cross. She could be thinking of a circle. So the first thing I do is show her the cross. I pause, I look at this, I look at the symbol, I turn it around, show her the cross, and gauge her reaction. If she's not thinking of the cross, she will go, no, you didn't get it. And before she can verbalize that, I say, ooh, okay, that's 1 down. I have to eliminate 3 more. So I'm keeping with the theme of elimination. If she was thinking of the cross for whatever reason, she'll go, you got it. She will emote. She'll react and congratulate the 2 of you in the successful sending of an image. So that's how we handle this. Then I eliminate the duplicates. So, statistically, I think, but not today. And then you get it down to the last 2, which are these. And I show her both symbols. I say, try to keep a complete poker face. This is just about the transmission of thought, not about body language, whatever lines you want to use. And then the very last thing is I feign that it's the wavy lines, and I start to put the circle down, change my mind at the last minute, and show her the circle. It's just a little bit of dramatics that makes a 1 in 5 seem just a little bit more impressive. So wonderful thing that you can do with any ESP cards, but these are just too gorgeous to resist. I'm not Patrick Redford. Thank you very much. So the routine you just saw is Osfrentary, ESP Frentary, which is in one of my very first books called Consecution, circa 2004, 2005, that era. It was a 2-book set, Mendacity Consecution. They're not available anymore, so please don't spend a lot of time hunting for them. You're not going to find them probably too easily these days. There's one more little routine that I'd love to share with you. It's from a booklet called Small World, and I apologize I don't have one to hold up because at the moment I don't have any in stock, although you can get this whole routine digitally through patrickredford.com as a PDF and video combo if you would like. And there's so much more that you can do with this principle and with this routine with normal cards and ESP cards. It is well worth your while, but I want to just give you a taste of the very last phase of one of the routines that is presented in that book. And if this sort of thing interests you, please go check it out. And I would also highly recommend, there's a routine called Anagnorisis that may port really well to an ESP card deck, especially one with colors that you may want to try out. That is available as a video download through penguinmagic.com. I digress. Let's get to it. Oh, I believe it's also in print in my Tropo notes as well. So, and those are available through patrickredford.com. I digress. I go on a little bit and I ramble. Let me get to the meat of this. Rather than show you the routine with a person in action, I'm going to walk you through it and teach it to you at the same time. And for this, you only need 2 sets of ESP symbols. So you're going to need a full set, circle plus wavy lines, square and star, and a duplicate set like that. That's all you need. You don't need the rest of the cards. My cards, my small stack, is going to go in order. When I say order, if you don't know this symbol because you aren't used to ESP symbols, the system is very simple. This is 1 because it's made up of 1 line. This is 2 because it's made up of 2 lines. 3 lines, 4 lines, and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I keep them in this order, but cut it so the wavy lines are on top, like that. And I always turn this symbol, which is the star in this case, around and take advantage of that one-way principle that's in the back, just so I have a very bold visual key that shows me where I am. I know they're marked, but I just like to have that extra insurance so that no mistakes are made, so I can at a glance know that I'm in the right place. They're going to shuffle theirs to their heart's content, and without looking, they're going to toss one of them down off to the right. So now you're going to glance at the marking that's here, and find out what symbol this is. You're going to apparently shuffle yours as well and toss down a random card that matches theirs. So the shuffle itself is not a real shuffle. It is a false haymow shuffle. And that false shuffle looks like this. You're going to take a few cards from the top, and the cards from the top of this pile will go below here, but I do them on an out jog. Then you're going to take a few cards from the bottom, and they'll go on top, and you'll alternate back and forth like that, and then cut at that jog. Let me show you with the one face up so you can really see what's happening here, and cut at that jog. It looks like a mix, and yet everything you'll see is still in the same order that we left it. So you just want to make sure we're tossing the same symbol down side to side. You say, we'll come back to that. That's a possible coincidence that we might be able to take advantage of. They further shuffle theirs, and it was that while they shuffle theirs, you just get yours in top to bottom sequential order on what's left. So in this case, it would look like that. So when you're comfortable that they're shuffled, when you're happy they're shuffled, deal them into a face-up row, which they will do. And your job is to immediately get your cards into this order working left to right, with the topmost card being the square. So that takes very little effort to do. There's only 4 cards, and I do it casually with the cards facing me. And I turn them face down and say, here's the game. You don't know the order that I've mixed these in, and I won't even look at them. And what I've just done, let me put them back, is I haven't mixed them, but what I've done is I'm reversing the order. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then giving them a straight cut at the halfway point, so the top 2 to the bottom. Say, in a moment, you're going to do the same thing that I just did. You're going to mix them, not randomly like I did, but in a very particular way. Then we'll stack them all up and place the symbol you set aside on top, like that. And as I do that, I always like to peek just so I know what that face card is. That's the plus sign. So here's my goal. My goal is to have them mix these up and get the plus sign on the bottom. And this will happen 2/3 of the time. The other third of the time, there's a little bit of an out. So I say, here's what you're going to do. Instead of mixing these at random, you're going to mix them with purpose. So you can either, you're going to switch 2 sets and then the other 2 cards. So you can start by switching these 2 and then switch these 2. You can start with switching the 2 in the middle, then the 2 on the ends. You can go with these 2 cards first, then switch these 2 cards. You have lots of different options, and I turn the face down. So, but I want you to make a choice and do it now. Now, there's really only 3 different things they can do, but it seems like there are a lot of different combinations that they can accomplish here, even though there really are just 3 of them. So you explain the 3 switching procedures, which is the first 2 on the end, because they're going to switch these 2, then they'll switch the other 2 they haven't touched yet. They can do the jog, they can do the 2 in the middle, then the 2 in the ends, or the 2 on the ends and the 2 in the middle. Again, lots of different options. Go ahead and make a choice, do it now. So let's say they switch these 2. Let's switch back to this camera. These 2, then these 2. I just have to pay attention to where the plus sign is, which is now here. I want to make sure that goes bottommost. If it ends up on my right side, I say, good, we'll stack them all up. I'm going to watch me carefully, make sure I keep them in the exact same order that you put them in. And then we can flip all of these over, and of course, they will be seen to match perfectly. But what if they didn't do that? What if they switched these 2 first, and then these 2? Well, now the plus sign is here. So I stack them up this way, so make sure I keep them in the same order that you put them in. We'll stack them up, and we'll put the symbol we set aside on top, just like I did, and of course now they match. Let's check. Perfect, they absolutely do. But what if they don't do that either? What if, of course, I think that puts everything back. What if they switch the 2 in the middle and the 2 on the outside, or vice versa? Well, this is where things get a little bit crazy. So I'm going to stack them up just like this, putting that symbol on top. Now, when I turn these over, they will not be in the correct order, but the first symbol is. So they turn that over, we're good. And you need to just simply cut these so that the star goes to the, I'm sorry, I stacked them up incorrectly. I apologize. Let me go back to how this originally was, perfect. All right, so if they do this and they do this, you're going to stack them up just the same way, left to right, putting that symbol on top. They will turn over the top symbol, and you simply cut them while adjusting them to the right. So this is a reverse spreading action. So as I spread these to the right, I'm going to separate at that middle point and reverse spread the cards as they come back together. It's a very, very subtle cut and move of those cards getting cut. And it's almost imperceptible. So go ahead and turn over your next one, which they do. And the next one, which they do. And of course, everything now matches perfectly, which is great. So the only time you're ever going to gather the cards in the opposite direction is going to be when that symbol ends up on the wrong side. Otherwise, you're always gathering left to right. So one more time, they shuffle, they set a card aside, they shuffle everything up just like this. You make sure you put those in the exact same order. Reverse shuffle, cut in the middle, place them down with the symbol on top. And I always like to give a little peek at this card as they sit down so I know that this is the symbol. Although it will always be the one in this position, I just like to check to make sure I'm right where I need to be. These are turned face down. I'm going to leave them, actually we'll turn them face down. So again, if they do these two, then these two, you stack them up left to right. This is the only one that requires just a little bit of fancy choreography. But of course, everything matches perfectly. It's a very, very direct use of that principle. The principle itself is mine. It's called the Pritchard switch, and it has been used in many, many different routines of mine over the years. And as far as I know, it is original to me. I've used it in chair tests. I've used it in witch hand routines. I've used it in all sorts of situations, from lie detectors to ESP cards to color matches to all sorts of things. Now, the technique itself is very nuanced. This is just one handling of the technique itself, but I hope you find it useful. Anyway, I'm not Patrick Redford, I'm George Tate, and thank you for your kind attention.
Okay, we are back. Once again, I want to thank Patrick Redford, George Tate for filming this wonderful routines with us. I'm really glad that he was even though he wasn't physically able to be here with us, that he was still able to be with us here in his thoughts. So what a cool way to start to wrap up this convention. We have one more presenter, my friend Jeremy Weiss, and I'm really happy that he's here today. And so, Jeremy, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on. And as I do, you may or may not know, but Jeremy is from the Temple of Miriam, which is what he founded. It's a oh, we're not talking about that.
I'll tell it. Whatever.
But today he's got some very cool mentalism that he's going to teach with the ESP cards. So, Jeremy, I thought you might want to share one or two of your products from there. So,
there's probably only one. There's probably only one. Should I put it in the? I'll put it in the chat right now.
Yeah, because it's super cool. We should talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Jeremy, thanks for being here, and I'm really excited to see what you're going to share with us.
Oh God, me too. So, to William, I have to, and everyone here, I must first take a moment to apologize, because again, I volunteered for this course to participate, and then my son was interviewing at various colleges, and now I was flying across the country, and we came and interviewed at Occidental University, and I forgot my cards because I'm out traveling. So I was like, what am I going to do? But I turned out that I'm going to be able to do my favorite ESP routine for you guys anyway. So most of you probably don't know me. And that's probably because I really wasn't a famous psychic entertainer at all. I was really a physician and a hobbyist who went deeply into magic, and I've been lucky enough to have some unbelievable mentors like Todd Robbins, and I've learned from some really big names, Alain and John Riggs and Ford Cross, and I'm friends with Richard Webster and Michael Weber, and I don't know how I ended up where I am, but then I became best friends and with another mentor of mine, Bob Cassidy, and I joined the PEA. And then I have actually contributed very little to the magic community. I've kept most of my stuff to myself. I actually personally, my personal journey was that I then have kind of left magic and mentalism completely behind. I still keep a pinky or a toe in the waters a little bit, and I'm occasionally called upon to give some perspicacious advice. I'm currently working on some stuff for David Blaine, or consulting for David Blaine for his next National Geographic thing, and on Disney Plus and stuff like that. But so I left all of that, and now I write books about magical beliefs and folk magic, particularly hoodoo, Jewish folk magic, and Kabbalah. And I left being a physician for making my living now doing root work and readings. And so I don't actually want any of you to go to my website, because there's no magic tricks and there's nothing there. The one thing that is there, I will put into the chat right now, which that might be of interest to people, which is I can't even do it. Maybe William can do it. It's a direct link to.
Yeah, I can send it to him. Just let me know which one it is.
Yeah, the direct link to I got it. Tarot in 2 hours. And that uses the Marseille deck, your deck. There we go. I got it.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah. And so anyway, so like I said, I arrived here with nothing. I've got nothing, and I'm walking around. So I walked into the college campus bookstore. I picked up a whiteboard. I picked up a stack of flashcards, and I made myself my own ESP deck, and they are certainly not at all as nice as Williams. But this is like, what you have to do. If you literally landed in a city and you had nothing to do, and you have to come up with a bomb effect for either stage or parlor, I love this one, I don't know the history. All I can say is that I'm not going to teach it to you. I learned it from Max Maven, and it's on one of his early videos that was on VHS. I mean, that early. And if you really need to know, I'll take you guys out to lunch and we'll figure it out. But basically what I did was I have my on my board. I'm gonna draw my a prediction. Oh, and I need a volunteer. William, will you select someone? Well, I'm gonna make a prediction. Okay.
Yeah, sure. We'll select someone here.
Just select someone.
Let's say Gary. Gary, is that good? Give me a thumbs up if that works for you, Gary. Okay, cool. I'm going to spotlight Gary here, and I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Now, I already made a mistake, because I'm not really an adept performer. I told everybody that I was going to make a prediction, but that's not true, because this isn't a prediction effect. This is an ESP effect. And so what I'd rather do is then broadcast my thoughts to you. Okay, I'm gonna pick up my cards. I only have 4. Okay, shuffle them around, and now I'm gonna ask my friend here, who's the volunteer. I'm gonna send my message to you. Where should I put this card? Here, 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
3. That's here?
Yeah.
3? Okay, right here. Are you sure you want to do 3? You don't want to do 4?
No,
Okay.
I like 3.
You like 3.
I'd like to start with 3.
Can you see it? Okay, good. I got another one. All right. Where would you like this one to go? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
1.
1, right here. Okay. All right. You are sir. I'm gonna stick. Okay. All right. Making a link. Okay. We got 2 left. All right. I'll put 1 down. Which one where do you want this to be?
Number 4.
4. All right. 4. Okay. And then that means that this last card you want right there, yeah? In the 3 spot?
2 spot.
3 spot, right? Okay. Good. That's fantastic. So you 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is exactly what you got. Very fast, simple, direct. Bam. There's none of this taking a stack, shuffling it, this, that. Thank you very much for being a Gary. I appreciate it, and it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Very cool.
Yeah, and so that, I mean, obviously is a bomb effect that I could have stretched out for 20 minutes, if I had wanted to, right? It's incredibly fast and straightforward. I mean, it's stupid simple, and it took me $5 to make it, and so that brings me that I'm just going to conclude that portion, and I know that William has a discussion planned for us after that, and I'm going to kick this discussion off by using that effect as to help it be illustrative of what I'm trying to drive at, which is that ESP effects are by nature, by absolute nature, completely reductionist, right? What we're doing is there's no more what we're trying to impart to the audience is a level of simplicity that we've taken all extraneous funny business out. We've taken all the funny signs, we've taken all the funny markings out. We've just moved to geometric symbols, which are completely basic. A child could do it. And it literally should be, it's an ESP effect. It should be straightforward. Because it's reductionist, and because it has such a straightforward and very narrow parameter, it's very difficult in a performance sense, in a performance style, to make it, I would say, personally moving to someone. The way to do that, I think many people have tried to figure out how to make it more engaging, and there's a couple of ways that I see this being done. One is that they're teaching the other person how to do ESP, or, well, that's actually the first decision. You have to decide who here has the ESP. Is this going to be an ESP effect that the participant has the ESP and the magic power, or you have the ESP and the magic power, and you're sending it to them? So that is, I think, an important starting point for effect design. Let me go on. So how do you make that engaging? It's tough because you have an engagement, you have we don't want to spend too much time, an engagement issue, but ESP has got to be really straightforward, really fast. So I've just been, I think it's hard. And the other problem with ESP effects I find in general, the second problem is, aside from being a lack of engagement, is that, and some other people have already talked about this, is that they kind of move into another effect to make it a little bit more engaging with the pendulum, right? That's one method. Or another, the contact mind reading that another performer did, which is a wonderful effect. But the problem with ESP effects in general is that the wonderful thing about them is that they're very, very straightforward. The problem is that they're very, very straightforward, right? So you have to predicate your effect on who here has the ESP, who is the receiver, who is the sender, and then who's going to be the star of the show. So all of those things, I think, are important and will hopefully help us kind of kick off a little group discussion, maybe, about all the effects that we've seen today.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to bring Jonathan back as well, since he's still joining us, because I think this brings us to an interesting kind of conversation. And I think that's because ESP cards were originally made for sending and receiving these simplistic symbols, right? And they were actually developed to really try to find people that have ESP ability, this extrasensory perception.
Exactly.
But what's interesting is, as a magician or as a mentalist, we're now using these very same tools that were designed for, the rigors of science are now being used kind of against the science.
Against science.
To show that it exists, right? And so, especially with you, Jonathan, I'm curious to hear this, because you worked with the amazing Randy, and I know you're very scientific as well, Jeremy. What are your thoughts on mentalist magicians performing with ESP and then claiming that, oh, you've got real psychic ability, or I'm really psychic, let me show you this, when these actually were developed for science, right? So it's kind of ironic that we're now using the tools that were designed for them kind of against them now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a really cool insight to me, that all the connotative and semantic power of imagery was drained out intentionally to make it as simple and dry as possible, that a child would recognize this symbol, like just recognition being the flat line. And now we're trying to cram in, like put back all that relational associative power to it, of this star means your relationship with your grandma. Oh my goodness, how did you know that? So it is interesting to try to stuff that chicken inside the turkey inside, right, of meaning back into these symbols. So yeah, it's really, really weird to me. For me, a lot of the focus is early on in my career, I had something to prove. So look at me, I'm the mind reader. Look what I can do that you can't, ha, ha, ha. And most of my show was, look what I can do, because I've trained, right? Because I've trained for a lifetime to learn how to do this. You haven't, so therefore I'm the rock star here. And then I didn't get booked all that much, weirdly. And then when the show design became, you expect me to be able to do these amazing things. So you do that at the beginning of the show to establish, check, yes, he can do those things I expect him to do. Now what? You've got about 53 more minutes to fill of your hour-long show. And then when you make it that I'm the host, I'm the facilitator for you to do these things that you know for sure you can't do, and then bam, look at that, you did it. How does that fit in your world model? I love just bringing people beyond the edge of what they know is real, and then letting them loose and go, this is where I live. and helping them. My one sincere hope is that after their time with me, they will question whether the limits they know are real are imaginary, and then go, wait, what else could I possibly do? Because I just did that thing that I knew 5 minutes ago was impossible, but I just did it. So what else in my life do I think is impossible that I would actually be able to pull off? And if somebody walks away with that, like, I did my job, that's cool. And that sidesteps the whole, is mind reading real? Is ESP a real thing? It's like, well, I just showed you that what you knew is impossible is possible. Therefore, your underpinnings for reality are not in alignment with the universe. So let's deal with that instead. And that's a much cooler discussion than my grandma had the gift. And right. So that to me is how I kind of sidestep that whole reality is only material. It means nothing. I'm going to turn back into worm food kind of reductionist approach that a lot of folks have. And also avoids the we live in purely a world of spirits and demons, and I'm inhabited by 3 demons, and like that level of the conversation that if you've been in this longer than a day, you will have had those conversations with people. So how do you frame it to, stay sane while being able to sleep at night? That's my approach to it.
Yeah.
And I guess
I find that if I may,
yeah, go ahead.
Just say that, if you're going to toss them for me, okay. I mean, I don't want to talk about, I mean, your show is, yeah, everybody here has their own show, and your show is your show. And, don't let, I have my opinions, you have yours. That's fine. But I think that, you have to, if you're going to do entertainment, you have to decide, right? Am I the psychic, or is the star going to be in this moment going to be the person that I'm working with? And that's appropriate for lots of different, for lots of different shows, and even in a psychic show, it could be appropriate. The problem is, one of the problems, I don't say problem, I shouldn't say, that means that you then next have to address how you're getting the participant to become a psychic. Are you doing a teaching? And are you teaching them how to use something like the pendulum, or how to do contact mind reading? And then what happens is, after you've taught it to them and they did it successfully, and now they go home, it doesn't work. So, or maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it works great for them. So now they're left thinking, well, shit, can I only do that kind of magic thing when I'm with someone else? And that's a different approach and an answer that I think mentalists have yet to really pursue, which is a collective mind reading. That when we are all together, all unified in this audience, then something powerful happens. But when we're all spread out and we're running around our house and we're looking for where we left our wallet and we're using our pendulum to find it, yeah, it's gonna not really work so well, because I don't have the whole power of the community behind me. And that is a point that I would like to introduce into mentalism, or into this type of ESP mentalism, is that we want to make it very reductive, because it is a very reductive. It's ESP, it's one-on-one shapes, but sooner or later it falls apart unless you put together some mechanism of there being a reason for it working at this moment in time. And so I just want to put that out there for those of you who are designing your shows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that brings up an interesting point, because let's say that you do a routine where an audience member bins a coin, right? Like they bin the coin, but then they go home and they try to do it, and that's not happening.
That's not happening.
Right. And so like, now, even if they think, well, I bent the coin, like they go home and they can't do it. And then I think everyone in the audience, if they go home and they try to do it, they can't do it. Right. And so I mean, I think that's a great question. Like, then where do they go from there? Right. Maybe you've got an allegory or something to go along with that, but that still doesn't give them that ability to repeat what they did. Now, I think sometimes in mentalism, that is the case, like with a pendulum, you tell someone this is a yes, this is a no, they go home. Now they've got a tool that can tap into their own mind. And so I think there are things that you can go home and do and are successful with, but like a coin bend, you're never going to go home and be able to repeat that. And I think that's an interesting, thing that I've never really considered is what happens when those people go home. Are they content with, oh, I did it in the moment, and yeah, maybe the performer was helping him, he channeled his energy into me and I was able to do this? Like, what is going on through?
Well,
I was able to read the shapes and
yeah, I think the problem is like, holy crap, I was able to read the shapes and do all the things on stage, but I can't now. I think that has yet really to be addressed, but I think that is one of the problems that make then the magical experience less impactful for the person later.
Right.
Now
counterpoint.
Okay,
I'm going to counterpoint you. Counterpoint you because Chris Philpott's Babel is one of my favorite things on planet Earth. I don't know where that came from. It's not human, but I love it. Right. So Babel is phenomenal. If you don't know what it is, please look it up. But basically, you give somebody the power to read a foreign language, a whole bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And I specifically do that framing of a relaxation process. And I explicitly say, I am not hypnotizing you. This is not hypnosis. All I'm doing is reminding you that you can take a moment and breathe and imagine being comfortable. That's all we're doing here. And everybody in the audience is going, he's totally hypnotizing him. Look, he's getting hypnotized. So there's that kind of meta conversation going. And now the dude can read a whole bunch of foreign language. Mm-hmm. And then you go, I can't just release you back into the wild with superpowers you haven't earned yet.
Sure.
So let's reverse that process. And now go through it. And he's just like, I don't know what this is. And then going, just from here, remember that you could always breathe and relax. And that will allow you to be more capable in the moment if you can just remember to focus on your breathing. So it's more of reinforcement of the process that makes this thing happen. Mm-hmm. And that process is the thing to take away rather than the magic effect.
You're giving them a magical power for a limited period of time. And you're telling them in advance, okay, we're going to do this. We've done it. We're going to do this. And then it's going to go away. You're going to have
to. But the mechanism by which you're able to do this is a process that if you did it every day, all day, would ultimately make your life better.
It's achievable. It's achievable through repetition or through something other. Yeah. And mentalism itself, obviously, is always very short on you said the word process, which triggered a memory, an idea. And I'm sorry to step on your.
No, that was it. That was the counterpoint.
I'm not a good conversationalist. It's mentalism by nature is short on process. And I'm just going to say that ESP effects are even shorter on process. So when you show someone the pendulum and you say, it goes this way, or whatever, they're still not sure on the inside that they have felt anything, right? They're surprised that they got it right half the time.
Yep.
That's
what I love about it, because there is no process, there is no mechanical method that I have to manage. You pick up the stack of flashcards, you go through them, you send them back. The spectator on stage has no idea what just happened. Like, there is no effect for the participant, which to me is hilarious. Then they go back to their friends, and now their friends explain what just happened. And the more the guy tries to explain that nothing happened, the weirder the thing that happened gets. And it's his friends explaining, so he now believes, and his lack of amazed face is the weirdest part about the whole thing. So you just, yeah, you're avoiding that whole thing by building up nothing but the faux process of what's making this happen, with no discernible effect on the spectator that's helping you. To me, that is hilarious to watch happen. And it's a non-effect for the participant, but it's also a bizarre reaction from the audience, because the audience is sitting there going, what in the world is, what just happened? Like, what is happening? God, I love that moment so much. And it's the least I need to do something part of the entire experience. And it's the most bizarre takeaway for a lot of the audience.
So I've got a question for you then. Are you okay as a performer leaving your audience with believing what they did is real? Or are you for the disclaimer where you say, this isn't, I'm not hypnotizing him, or is it more of like, are you not okay? Because especially, working with the amazing Randy, right? He was like all for finding the people claiming to be real and,
yes,
showing them as frauds, right? And
yeah,
so like,
I do
really
have
curious.
Yeah, I've got a weird pedigree to live up to on this one. So I've got multiple angles in every single show that I do. So part of it is I need to protect myself from the skeptic crowd railroading me in you're falling down on your obligation as one of Randy's proteges, right? So any show that I do, I basically explain, I ran applications for the $1 Million Challenge, helped design testing protocol for this thing. I saw every way that people tried to scam their way to the money. And I thought, I can do these scams better than they can. And that's the show that you're seeing. So that's my disclaimer that, look, these are all scams, right? The second layer is, I think you should worry about being good enough to need the disclaimer before putting one in there. Otherwise, you're just insulting your audience. You're like, none of this is real. This is all made up. And then you're awful as a performer. Just like, oh, wow, I would have thought that was real if you hadn't said something. So the disclaimer thing is kind of cart before the horse. Get good enough to start a cult and then worry about denouncing that it's not one. Okay, cool. Then there's the third layer, which is we're alive. Like, we exist. And if you say you don't exist, let me punch you in the face and then see how much you don't exist about it, right? So we exist, and that is a miracle that we are spirit animating mud. Like, that is amazing. So I'm not of the life is just an emergent property from the random assortment of atoms. Like, there's a universe of awareness and a universe of material, and together they give rise to life. Right? Like that's me, Jonathan, my wacko belief that goes back to the ancient pre-Pythagorean times. So I think it's magic that we're even alive to experience magic in the first place. So to me, magic is real by virtue of us even being alive to have this conversation is proof enough to me that reality in the universe is nothing but magic. So when people are like, is magic real? I'm like, reality is magic. Deal with that. Go home. So I'm all over the board when it comes to the use of disclaimers in a good show. Yeah. Weird.
Well, I think especially in the context of ESP cards, right? I mean, I think it's even more like apparent of that, these were made for scientific method, and here we're doing this thing. And look, you've got the psychic ability. And I think it holds even more ground because you're using these cards that were developed for that. So like it even holds more ground because that's what they were developed for. And look, now you're able to do this. Right. And so I think that even like brings it up a notch when you're using, once again, the scientist tools that were developed for your shows. So yeah, that's a great perspective, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Jeremy?
No, but I mean, about disclaimers, I don't have, I don't have any thoughts on disclaimers.
Yeah.
At all. But I did want to say that well, let me look up. I had a point that I needed to write down here that I wanted to bring up, and it was the idea of the and this is all theoretical exploration of your show, of a show, right? Putting together a show, right? What do you want to say? What do you want to communicate to your audience? And then, so we said that, so you have to choose who's going to be the mind reader, who's the sender, who's the receiver, what are you trying to accomplish? I like the fact that, you know, there should be you're magical for a limited time period, but one of the other options, okay, would be that you're magical only for during a certain set of circumstances. And like I said, I mentioned before as an example, one of the certain set of circumstances could be that you are magical when you have a collective around you, or a collective bit of support. What's good about that is that it gives you an opportunity to have your major effect and your minor effect. And I don't know if everybody here in the audience who's participating understands the difference between the major effect and the minor effect as so defined by my good friend and mentor, Bob Cassidy, but I will go through it, which is that minor effects, you see minor effects all the time, and it doesn't mean that they're not interesting or they're tiny or small or anything like that, but they don't involve the whole audience, right? They just involve two people. A major effect is going to involve your entire audience. And so if that, I think the ESP format is a great opportunity for someone to write and dig in to the what would be a major effect, right? What is a major effect, and to draw your effect from there. It's the whole audience that's helping you out to read the mind.
Which to toot Randy's horn is what I love about that routine that I went through, which is it's kind of major in that anybody can call out, but the framing is, well, I'm going to discern which ones are the correct ones of all these that you yahoos said yes to, because we all know that there's only 3 to 6 of these that actually work. And look at that. Yeah, you saw me match those because I'm good at this. And everybody goes, oh, big whoop for him. And then somehow the audience had properly connected all of these, and it's them doing this thing because of them coming together. To me, I love it. It's kind of like my single performing philosophy in one routine. And I'm debating on whether to share this or not, because I love throwing magicians under the bus during my performance. And if I explain how, I'm going to be equipping all of you to avoid the bus when it happens. But it deals directly with what you were talking about, Jeremy. So, all right, let me just do it.
Go for it.
I love Luc Germain and his work on the wand. Look it up. It's phenomenal. And this is kind of a wrinkle on that work that I just kind of came out of my head like Athena. But I bring out a magic wand, and then everybody starts whispering, and I go, how many of you are thinking of Harry Potter right now? And everybody's like, oh yeah, it was me, Harry Potter. And I go, let me tell you why you're not just wrong, you're bad people. Because the magic wands of Harry Potter is a handle, and then the wand that you shoot magic at people, right? It's a very narcissistic me against you. Look what I can do, and I'm going to do it at you like a magician. Well, a real magic wand has two ends, no handle. Tell me why. Ask a magician why a magic wand has two ends, and if they can't tell you, they're not a real magician.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll wait. Nope. Like no magician can tell you because they don't understand. This goes back to ancient Pythagorean times. The magic wand is a conduit. I hold on to one end, you hold on to the other end, and it's that connection. The magic is in the connection of us being together. That is what magic is. This is just a bridge for us to experience each other as human beings. And that's what magic is, right? Because it's the magic of connection, of us being here in this room together. To me, that's what a magic wand is, and why, as a mentalist, you can now use a magic wand more effectively than 99.99% of magicians alive today, right? So to me, that's hilarious that a mentalist uses a magic wand to out magicians and equip the audience to stump magicians outside the room of the experience that we just had, right? So that's why I was like, I don't know if I should share this. So please don't take it beyond the walls of this thing, because I love throwing magicians under the bus with that.
Well, I actually do have a whole blog post on the history of the magic wand, which is very interesting history. But I did not know about the double ends. I like that.
I made it up.
Oh, you
made it up.
Okay.
That's why you're not going to find anything. I made it up.
Okay. That is that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
That's why to me it's hilarious to do it as though anybody should know this thing that I came up with in the shower one day that was so logical that it makes sense. Why has no human being in the history of magic thought that up before?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I did, and it makes me laugh every time. Yeah, so you could do a whole genuine history of magic wands, never find it because it has zero to do with reality, but it sounds so perfect and it makes so much sense that it now is the new mythos. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I started that.
And Jeremy, I just found the blog post that you wrote about the magic wand. And so I'm going to link that to everyone here in the meeting so that they can go to your website and read about the history of the magic wand. And if you are interested in reading this and you're watching a replay, you can go to templeofmiriam.com, go to the blog, and then just search back a few pages for the history of the magic wand, and you'll find it right there. And with that, I think, why don't we wrap this convention up? How does that sound with you guys?
I've had way too much fun. So yeah, all good things must
Awesome.
come to an end.
Yes.
Learned a huge amount. And I want everyone to say, this has cost me $5. You can do it on stage. I mean, it's not that hard. Right.
So I want to thank Dr. Jeremy for help behind the scenes, as well as for Jonathan Pritchard for helping as well behind the scenes for queuing up those videos and making sure everybody was on mute. So I couldn't have done this without either one of you. So I appreciate you being here and sharing your insights with everyone. Since this was a free convention, we would really appreciate you reaching out to some of the performers that you saw today. If you like the routine, please go ahead and purchase that from them and start adding that to your shows. Also, you can find more about us and our ESP decks at artisantarot.com. I'll put that link in the chat room right now. It's just artisantarot.com. And there we also have a great selection of other tarot decks, including the John Noble deck. We've got the Nicholas Conver deck. And we've got a new John Dodal deck that's coming out soon. And this will be our 3 decks in our Tarot de Marseille series. And so you can check these out, learn about how to read these cards as well. We've got some upcoming courses coming out. And so you can learn about these. You can learn about our ESP deck, all on our website, artisantarot.com, as well as some cool accessories. For example, we've got this great sock that is from La Lune from the Jean Noblet deck. And so if just throwing this out there, since we have a lot of mystery performers, this would be an awesome way to have a prediction or something like that if you're using the Tarot de Marseille card, specifically the Jean Noblet, which is this one right here. So these socks go very well with this deck, and I'll let you be creative to come up with some routines that you might be able to use with those. If you have any questions about anything regarding this ESP convention or about our products, feel free to shoot me a message. My email is just william@artisantarot.com. You can find all of your information about us there. Also, we will be sending out these replays to everyone. Give us a few days to just make sure that the video uploads all right to our service, and then we'll send out an email to everyone that's joined us and who's registered. So once again, we appreciate you being here. So thanks again for joining us at the Artisan Tarot ESP convention. We really hope to see you at the next one. Take care, everybody.